There's no place to escape to.
This is the last podcast.
On the left.
From your grave.
That's when the cannibalism started.
What was that?
UFO.
Oh, I'm excited.
Good. I've seen a bit of a UFO up there.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, right up there. I saw a bit of a light up there.
Whoa. Okay.
Oh, man, it got a bit of a structure, didn't it?
I hear you seeing it.
It's got a bit of a structure. It's a little bibbidi-boo. Yeah, flippity-flop.
I get the bet. Now you gone too far. You were in Yorkshire. Now you're going to Liverpool. You with the bibbidi-bop.
Bibbidi-wop, and a bit of an alien in there.
You do the bibbidi-bop.
He's a bit of an alien. He's been in the UFO there.
Doing the bibbidi-bop.
He's from out of town, isn't he?
No, you're Paul McCartney.
Don't be Paul McCartney.
I'm trying.
Be Ringo.
Well, I wish, but I'm trying to. This is the problem. Is I know this accent. It's very specific.
Mhm.
I've listened to a lot of Russ Cohen.
Yorkshire.
And his Yorkshire accent.
Yorkshire?
I think it's very nasal. It's a bit of a nasal.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then you get him in, it's a bit of UFO. But it's too cute. It's very cute.
It is too cute.
But I also know that he's a rough and tumble man. He likes his motorbikes.
Oh, no. In Bradford, they're fucking vicious.
They're very mad. So it's like a cute accent in a very, hard group of people.
I was watching Canadian hockey fights mic'd up, dude. Oh, you bastard. You fucking bastard. Your father was a good player. You're not as good as your father.
They're not even
That
good at
is it.
insults.
I know.
They're too nice.
But they would also beat the shit out of us. Isn't that weird? But
That
I'd
is
still
weird.
make fun of them as they were doing it.
I
You're like,
know.
oh, are you doing it right?
Yeah,
You think you're doing it right?
I know Russ Kellett could beat me into
Sure.
a fucking pole.
Of course.
Yeah, he's got ropey motorcycle arms.
Yeah, but still,
He sounds like a lemon.
we're still doing this episode.
Is it a bit UFO there? Is it a bit of
Welcome to the last podcast on the left, everyone. Ben hanging out with Marcus and, of course, Henry as well.
Yeah.
I'm excited. We're getting back into UFO.
Well,
Mhm.
I'm excited because we're doing some smaller topics because we've been doing them. We've been doing super long ones.
Yeah,
So
nice and long.
it's nice to get back into this world as always.
All right, let's talk the Berwyn Mountain UFO incident.
The Berwyn Mountain UFO incident, because I'm also probably sure we're pronouncing that incorrectly. It's probably Berwyn.
Well, no, I saw
It's Welsh, so
Hey.
it's going to be a strange pronunciation.
it's Berwyn.
Berwyn.
Yeah, that's what I saw. Again, as you go through the various videos, every ufologist says every single word different than other ufologists to make it sound like they know the
Yeah.
real way to pronounce something.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I know this episode won't be Borween.
Wow.
The
Thank you.
Berwyn Mountain UFO incident.
Thank you for having faith in the two of us.
Yeah, it's been 15 years of proven results.
It has. It's in the pudding.
The Berwyn Mountain UFO incident, known by some as the Welsh Roswell.
Or Roswelsh.
Uh-huh.
It is a highly debated aerial episode from 1974 in which multiple people reported seeing strange lights that could have been controlled crafts amidst a quaint British earthquake.
Ooh, interesting. So we have an
Why say so? Okay, well, I will push back a little bit. Just because it happens in Hoppiton doesn't mean that the earthquake is cute. It's
well,
because
you know.
No,
It does.
It's a 3.4. That's a cute earthquake.
Oh, it is. It is a fart.
Yeah, it's the British earthquake. It hurts the earthquake more than it hurts the people.
Now, Berwyn Mountain isn't just debated because skeptics believe that they have multiple possible explanations for what those people saw that night.
Everybody's got fucking 5 explanations for
Well-
fucking every single thing they got going on in their lives.
It's important to see what it could be, prove that it wasn't, and then it's unidentified.
I'm sick of all this sense and
Yeah?
this logic.
Okay.
Well, Berwyn Mountain is also debated because some claim that the actual Berwyn Mountain incident is far more cinematic, exciting, and consequential than the story of a woman driving up a mountain and turning back because the light freaked her out.
Hey, man, to that one woman, that's the scariest story that ever happened to her life. But for the rest of us, we hate it. That's why it's nice there is 2 different versions of the Berwyn Mountain incident.
She made the right decision.
Mm-hmm. But before we get into the Battle of Berwyn Mountain and all of the Dulce-style ground battles starring a certain Bradford ufologist, let's talk about the more accepted version of the Berwyn Mountain incident, the MUFON version, let's say.
The grounded version.
Yes, which is still highly compelling. So on the night of January 23rd, 1974, a woman named Pat Evans, living in northern Wales, was in her kitchen when she heard a loud concussive sound which shook her home.
Is that my horse and Barmy waking himself up with the fart in his sleep?
Really nailing it.
She thought that her range stove had finally exploded as her husband had been predicting for years.
You're just going to want to get a new one.
Every once in a while, a husband is correct. I'm saying this down the pipe to the camera.
Yeah.
All right, because as
Only
husbands...
when it comes to things that might explode soon.
Yes.
We know that. That's about to explode.
But nothing
That's
with,
about to
But
explode.
we're always incorrect when it comes to our emotions.
Yeah.
Because we
That's what they
don't
say.
share them.
No, because then you do share them and then you have the wrong emotions.
Always. But no. We love it.
Yep. Yeah, we love it.
Guys, save it. That's a different relationship podcast. When Marcus and Henry start the relationship show, Patreon exclusive.
Patreon exclusive called Husbands Are Correct.
Well, Pat figured that the noise came from the direction of the nearby Berwyn Mountains, located about 50 miles south of, yes, Henry, south of Liverpool, as the crow flies.
It's a bit of a UFO on the left there. So you got to be careful. Gonna make a bit of traffic when going downtown, man.
If I'm a UFO, I'm stopping in Liverpool, dude. They party.
Yeah,
They
man.
party hard.
Us and those 15-year-olds had quite a night in Liverpool.
Good God.
I hear they party dangerously and with intimidation.
They were just, well,
they
Liverpool.
party to mate. That's what they literally, it seemed like we were on Rumspringa. when we were in
Nobody there
Liverpool.
was under, it was weird. It was just nothing but children. It felt like Pinocchio.
Yeah.
It was like all of these children were out. We had to leave immediately. And then
Well, we
got
stayed out
wait,
all night, but
yeah, we did. But then we went to an old man bar, which was nice.
That
We
was
found
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where we belong.
and there was a fight outside.
Oh, that's fun.
But a Liverpool flight. So they were just like, oh, ouch, ouch, ouch.
Yeah, they didn't shoot each other. It's nice to just see two grown men punch each other in the face.
That's true.
Now, Pat first tried contacting her village policeman to report the explosion, but she couldn't get an answer. No one at the phone. Eventually, she found an authority figure in a seaside town 40 miles north and asked him if there was possibly a plane crash up on the mountain. That was the only thing they could explain for an explosion from the mountain.
Yeah, man, this is called what the internet used to be.
Yeah.
Calling somebody you'd think might know.
Right.
This authority figure said that Pat wasn't even close to the first person who'd reported the explosion. But as far as the cause, he said that it could be anything, really.
Well, then you got a lot to work with, don't you? Why don't you go figure it out? Narrow it down.
Let's just say we've got like 10 different options of what it could be, right? But what we're going to do here right now is instead of a bit of an on-the-ground bippity-bip kind of action, I'm going to do a bit of a thinkity-think up here in my cop hat. You see over here where my cop hat is, where
That's
my
your-
it's my Bobby crown. I go right here. That's
I
called the
love it.
thinking area.
Okay, great. Well, let's think maybe. What could it be?
Yeah. And so Pat and her daughters, trained in first aid and Good Samaritans all, they drove up the mountains at around 9:30, 10 p.m. to see if they could help anyone who was possibly hurt.
That's why the British made it through WW2 because they're self-reliant and they keep a stiff upper lip and they get out there and they do whatever happens and they never feel anything.
Oh, yeah. Self-reliant, in no way expansionist.
No.
Mm-mm.
Great Indian food for some reason.
Incredible. Incredible. It's Indonesian food. Incredible. This is amazing.
Strange.
Now, at first, the fear Pat and her girls had upon driving up the mountain was what they'd find when it came to carnage. Like, that's what they're afraid of. What are we going to find? Blood and guts? I don't know. Plane crash?
See
Who
a bit
knows?
of an intestine. I'll see a bit of a lung.
A rugby team eating each other. Something could go horribly wrong.
Yeah, but when Pat got her first good look at the mountaintops, that fear shifted. Instead of the fiery wreckage of a plane crash, Pat and her daughters saw, sitting at the closest peak, a round, reddish-orange, bright ball floating in the sky. Pat opened the door to get a better look and found that whatever this object was, it made no sound and had smaller white lights dancing around it. Like other orb-like craft we've spoken of recently, particularly in the Pennsylvania Bigfoot UFO flap, the object changed color from red to yellow to white, then back to red.
I just like these stories too because they are so similar.
Mhm.
And Pat had nothing to do with UFOs whatsoever. She was a country housewife, like out there, trained in first aid, which is great, but not necessarily definitely not interested in UFOs.
No.
Right.
And so seeing this is kind of fun because why would this woman lie? We'll get into it.
Also, if you do have anything on your body that turns a different shade of green, yellow, red, it's melanoma
It's a melanoma.
or it's mesothelioma.
Perfect.
Mesothelioma.
Wow, you know how to say it after all your doctor's visits.
That's all it takes.
What else? They
All it takes
asked you, have you been like, is it mesothelioma? Did you go to Camp Lejeune?
You go to enough pulmonologists, you're going to pick up a thing or two.
Well, It's like your one.
Yeah,
He's
now
the closest thing that we have to one.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to ask him about my lungs.
If we were all stranded on an island, you are a doctor because you're the weakest and you've seen the most.
Didn't you technically, isn't that how you got Carolina's? And you said I'm a lung doctor. Let me check your lung fronts.
No.
And then you examined her
we don't
boobies
know.
to see whether or not they were properly
absolutely
supporting
not.
her lungs.
That's a horrible story to make up. It's a horrible story. You're a horrible man. Henry, you're a horrible
We're going to get
man.
back to the Berwyn incident. But no, their first day was weirder. He started talking about bones and she didn't leave.
Yes, of course.
And he's like, she's the one.
It was on brand.
Yeah. Now, after watching the object for what felt like about 15 minutes, Pat and her daughters decided that this was definitely not a plane crash, and it appeared as if there were already people on the scene doing something, although it was unclear what. So Pat and her daughters drove home, leaving the object behind in their rearview mirror. Now, Pat's story lay fallow for a long time until it was finally unearthed by an extraordinary woman, Margaret Fry, considered by some to be the great-grandmother of UK ufology.
She is legit. She is I love her work. She's earnest. She's very similar to what's her name from Mrs. Potts. Who was the talking pot? Murder, She Wrote.
Angela
Lansbury, right? I'm sorry, I didn't reference her. If you saw me, if you see the video,
boobs.
it's like, because she is built like a teapot.
Yeah.
So you want to put a nipple on Mrs. Teapot.
But she is it is very, very interesting because she's just cool, man. She's a fucking UFO gangster.
Oh, yeah, she is, man.
Very Guy Fieri of you.
Yeah. She's fucking out of bounds.
She is out of bounds.
Raised in India during the British occupation, where she barely escaped with her life at the age of 21 during, the uprisings.
Yeah, people got all mad.
They were
upset.
They're like, this is our land. And then the British are like, but what if we have it? And then it was a whole thing.
I don't know what that's like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, Margaret, she was raised in India. India was all she knew until she was 21 years old.
Well, if she wants good Indian food, go to England. We know that.
So when Margaret finally arrived in England for the first time, she saw it as a dreary, dreadful place. It's rainy. It's not India.
It's not India. That's for certain.
Yeah. So she spent her life looking to the stars as a way to return to the magic of India.
I've heard India's beautiful. I would
love to go. My older brother was there. He's 6'10". He's been all over Asia. He's been to Dubai, so I know I can fit. He's my little drone. He's my little tall drone. I'm like, can I fit? He's like, I fit. I'm like, ooh, I can fit.
Well, among some of the earliest UFO researchers in her neck of the woods, Margaret trained with such British UFO greats as the aristocrat Brinsley Lipwar Trench, the 8th Earl of Clantcarry.
Yeah, it's a lot of names.
Oh, wow.
It's a lot of names. We were bringing up, was it Dennis Kucinich earlier with the tall, hot, sexy wife?
Still a shock.
It just seems very analogous.
Yeah.
Right?
You're talking to the 8th Earl of Dork.
Yeah, great.
What? Wow.
Clantcarty.
Wow, Clantcarty. Wow.
Well, Trench was also vice president of Bufora, a member of the Ancient Astronaut Society, and the editor of the Flying Saucer Review.
So you can tell me he fucks.
Yeah, I like him. He's interesting.
Well, the Earl's specialty was a focus on hollow Earth studies, which led
Go on.
Hey, this
is what I want the royalty to be doing.
Yeah.
This is what they should be doing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Just focus on hollow Earth.
Yeah. Well, that led him to the controversial conclusion that the world was not spherical, not flat, but rather sphere-ish.
This is what I'm talking about with ufologists.
What does that mean?
It's round on the sides, but flat at the top and the bottom.
I just think that I just saw it's this ufology thing where they have to pick one specific, very highly specific idea, because that sort of makes sense. We're spinning ball. We could maybe be, but how flat? Are we talking full on hamburger shape?
Pretty flat.
That's dumb.
I mean, maybe not like a mesa on top and on bottom, maybe not tabletop, but pretty flat.
Flat enough.
Flat enough. Yeah, flat enough where when, the astronauts went out and took the picture of the big blue marble, he was surprised.
Whatever.
Oh, wow.
Truly, whatever it takes you to not have systematic sex with children.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, it is bizarre, though, because the only people that could ever believe what he's saying is a child.
Yeah.
Because he's
but they
a
just
moron.
were friends. Those are his academian
Yeah.
peers.
But I like that ufologists choose majors.
No, I get it.
I
love
want them
it.
to.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
Yes.
It's just more saying like UFO or it's saying specific words that they decide are the way you say the words.
Affectations.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You fight about that, you don't get to the substance.
That's the idea.
For example, I love saying ufologist.
You do.
Yeah, that's my thing.
You're allowed to. I've actually given up that ghost a long time ago because I'm not going to control everyone's language because I'm not fucking some kind of Twitter person.
No, you're not.
I'm looking at, you can say ufologist even though it makes me mad.
It's ufologist.
Whatever you say, you are allowed to say.
That's
You notice that's how against it, I can't even say it.
Yeah, I know. But I'm just happy to say I won.
Yeah, sure. You know what? The one thing is about getting older. Choose your battles.
Let go. Yeah, that's pretty cool, Marcus. The way you say that's pretty cool.
But regardless of how unconventional the beliefs of the Earl of Clantcarty might be, Earl Brinsley Trench was still a highly respected name in British ufology when he was alive. And Margaret, the founder of the Welsh Fellowship of Independent Ufologists, she was one of his top proteges.
The reason why they call me the Trench is because the clavicles between my excrement areas are so far apart, I do not need to wipe.
Deep perineum. All right.
It's all deep. One deep, elongated, furry furrow. That if you were to gaze upon it, you would know, it is too late for me because you are either my dead wife or my proctologist.
Well, fantastic.
Now, Margaret began collecting witness statements concerning the Berwyn Mountain incident soon after discussing it with Pat Evans, almost 20 years after the event. And she soon found that Northern Wales was quite busy that night in 1973.
Cool.
A local hotel manager said that he remembered the incident well because he had been host to military men that night who were all having interesting conversations.
Is this Skyrim?
What's happening?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Great.
The hotel manager.
The innkeep?
Yeah, the innkeep actually has some interesting information.
They know
got
a
any
lot.
work for me, and he does.
That's awesome.
Yes.
He has a mission. The hotel manager said he overheard these military men talking about sealing off an area so they could shoo away people. And they needed to shoo away people without explanation. Get in your car, turn around, get out of here.
But why?
Oh, because I just wanted to give a bit of a drivey drive. I was walking right here with my car, using my car as my feet, and I was using my eyes with a bit of a looky-loo there, Mr. Military Police Officer, right then.
Absolutely. Very good impression.
Well, this conversation was memorable, he said, doubly memorable, because there were Americans mixed in with the British.
Oh, yeah, because as Russ Kellett says, UK can't sneeze without the US saying it's okay.
Yeah. That doesn't make it. You can't sneeze without the
Well,
US.
That's a whole thing.
Russ Kellett, we'll get to him.
I thought they were telling us what to do.
Yeah.
I love him. I love his energy.
His energy is amazing.
The only way I can really
Seems like
say
he's upset.
In ufology, he's the one of all of the characters I have met in our travels in this world, intellectual travels, I say, bless his heart.
Interesting.
Because, yes, he's an interesting storyteller.
Yeah. Great.
Well, additionally, in the hours before the incident, 2 long-haul truckers claimed to have seen a cigar-shaped UFO over a nearby lake while they were on the way to the pub.
And this is not counting, too, a flap of ghost helicopters. This is another. Nick Redfern was one of those guys. He comes into the story, but he's
Now,
obsessed
how do we get
with
to ghost helicopters?
phantom helicopters are another thing, kind of like what we dealt with during quarantine over Denver. Remember the drones that were flying around and they weren't connected to any, they were flying in patterns and we couldn't find the origin of them. And no private company was coming out saying what they were. And the U.S. was saying, like, they are not ours and blah, blah, blah. There was something like that was also happening in the UK where you'd see these, like, unmarked, silent helicopters going everywhere. And he said that would precede a flap.
But they were tangible helicopters.
Well, according to him, it's people seeing things in the sky that look like helicopters but are not making sounds.
Well, these guys that were out on their way to the pub, sitting next to the lake, they said they watched the cigar-shaped UFO for a bit, then continued on their way. But when they got to the pub, they found that they had been missing hours of time because the pub was closed.
And they definitely weren't drunk before.
No
But
way.
missing time comes up a lot.
Yeah.
Yes, and of course, when you are drinking, this is one of the more reliable you can have as a drunk is to make sure you get to the bar on time.
That is the one thing you got to do.
Thing you do know how to do.
Now, as Margaret started putting together a fuller picture of Berwyn Mountain, she contacted her boss at Bufora, a woman named Jenny Randalls, who was also receiving information about Berwyn Mountain, or she was at least receiving stories of aliens in Wales.
And of course, Bufora, it's a fantastic makeup company for ghosts.
For your butts. I thought it was going to be for butts.
No.
Just makeup for.
And the nice thing
outside of
about
a
selling makeup to ghosts is you don't got to have no product.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
It's a scam. Are we scamming the afterlife?
Oh, Bufora. Now I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's BU in this. So.
I actually thought of a joke yesterday. I said, oh, great Halloween costume right up top of my head. Booney Rate. Ghost Bonnie Raitt. So I can come up. You have a fucking Halloween costume. You need an idea? You let me know.
It's April. Number one is April.
I know. That's why I was just like, I'll file it away. That's in the old file there.
Yeah. Bufora is the British UFO Research Association?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, Jenny Randalls had received a note at Bufora, supposedly from the Aerial Phenomenon Network, the APN. This note said that tall humanoid aliens traveling in a flying saucer had landed in North Wales.
Yeah, we back to some tall whites.
Mm-hmm. Along with the letter was a bizarre tape that I would pay at least $20 to own.
Yeah.
It sounds so cool. It's sort of musique concrète, featuring samples of broadcast UFO stories, drunk Welshmen, Nazi marching songs, and an American voice claiming to be the commander of the APN.
This just sounds like your college radio station.
It does. Oh man, it sounds so cool. This is the stuff that I listen to at home.
Nazi marching songs?
Well, if it's a part of a musique concrète.
Now, are you saying Nazi marching songs are just German marching tunes that took place during the 30s and the 40s?
Probably songs, marching tunes that became associated with Nazis. Because the Nazis, I don't think, had a lot of composers contemporarily.
Like Toot Toot Goes the Joot Joot. Then there's Everybody Run From Us, We Suck. I remember that. You remember that song?
Yeah.
I love that marching song.
I think it's called Pumped Up Kicks.
Oh.
Yes. Well, that's exciting, Marcus. Yes.
Yeah.
That'll be the new exercise craze, the Nazi marching song.
Honestly, it's good for the hamstrings. Get those legs up.
Absolutely.
Rise from your grave.
Now, at first, Randalls dismissed the tape and the letter, but when Margaret Fry called with the story of Pat Evans, Randalls realized that some of the statements and the ramblings meshed with Pat's tale, starting to all come together. Now, from there, the story seemed to take on a life of its own. One night, while Margaret was photocopying an artist illustration of Pat's description of the craft, the thing she saw up on the mountain, the clerk at the shop said that she, too, had been at Berwyn Mountain that evening and had followed that same object until police turned her back at a roadblock.
Cool.
Now, for years, Margaret made Berwyn Mountain her pet project, and she became known around Wales as the UFO lady. Unfortunately, though, not much more information came for the next 5 years until a source passed along information that had been allegedly collected from a high-ranking military officer.
And that is a sentence that has appeared in ufology since the dawn of ufology. The idea of an off-the-record,
high-ranking
memory from a dying, high-ranking military officer. Now, if I just wish one day, maybe I'll set it all up. Then I'll have like secret footage in my home. Because Ross Kellett, too, also has a bunch of UFO footage that no one's allowed to see until he dies. And like, just be nice. Though. Like all these secrets. The CIA guys always like shooting their shot one last grift right before they die. I do love it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, this officer said, oh man, wouldn't it be cool if we found out years from now that all CIA officers signed a contract that said right before you die, you have to throw one more wrench into the works?
That would be incredible. Well, I think it's just a part of you have to be a professional troll to want to be in the CIA. And then you also, like, you know what they say, they never retire.
Yeah.
Never retire. The most recent Pentagon leak, that was a 21-year-old.
Yeah,
hanging
because
out in his mom's
trying
house.
to impress other morons on Discord. It's interesting to see how these massive conspiracies just come from shithead, friendless nerds.
But it does show you, though, you don't have to be hanging out with the higher echelon to have some secret evidence.
It just shows how lax all the security is, the fact that even get to the documents.
You know what this guy's showing me? You know what I think is going to be the downfall of civilization?
What?
Wieners.
Wieners.
It's going to be wieners.
Nazis were wieners.
As in hot dogs?
You know, like,
just wieners.
Like
dudes who are wieners. Also, women can also be wieners. Yeah.
It's mean, weak people.
Wieners.
Yeah.
Wieners.
Yeah,
Okay,
wieners. They're going to be the
come up with an
downfall of
acronym
all
for
of
it.
us.
All right.
That's why we got bully more wieners.
Well, that's what makes a wiener. That's the problem.
No, you're born a wiener. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but you're born a wiener.
Well, all right. Let's cook these dogs.
Cookies now.
Well, this officer, this high-ranking military officer, he said that immediately after the explosion, he and a small team had driven up to the mountain to investigate. And this was odd because the men were already on alert to participate in a quote-unquote exercise near Berwyn Mountain that night, placing them in a prime spot to jump on the scene. Oh my God, it's such a coincidence that when this thing lands on the mountain, crashes into the mountain, there's already military officers in a remote part of northern Wales ready to jump.
This is where Margaret Fry crushed this. So she found that there was records of saying that there was an exercise going on. She corroborated these stories. She went and got these various witnesses together. A bunch of people saw the same fucking thing. They saw it that night. And then cooperating with whatever you think about the innkeep, obviously his side quest is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But once you complete
I don't know what the side quest is.
You when you complete it, you just get a bag of Marmite that's on the end of a dildo and you can shove it up your ass. It's a special item. It's a rare item. But
nice.
She put this all together in a way that this is where we see kind of a grounding here, where there's several people all saying the same story and a very small community that maybe, but it's rural.
It's rural.
So it's not like they're all hanging out all the time. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I just find it makes it compelling.
No.
I love it.
Well, incredibly, this military officer said that when they got to the peak after the explosion, they found a number of oblong, coffin-like boxes. These boxes were collected and driven to a top-secret chemical and biological research facility in Wiltshire named Porton Down. Porton Down is a science park, as the British put it, the oldest chemical warfare facility in the world.
They call that a science park?
It's a science park. See how much more fun that is than fucking atrocious chemical creators of chemicals that are going to end the world.
Oh, we've got here a bit of a carousel of death over here.
Nice.
And right over here is the cotton candy of malice.
Well, it's like in Washington, D.C., where we've got the National Mall. That's not a mall.
It's not a mall.
It's a big
No,
piece.
but
The only
it
thing
is
they're selling is a fake story of the history of this country.
But it is a mall in the truest sense, it is a mall. A mall doesn't necessarily have to have...
A mall is a gathering area.
It doesn't have to have Nordstrom's
We
at it.
subjugated the
No, but that's
mall.
what I mean is that
You have a New Jersey sense of what a mall is.
No, I have an American
mall-
sense of what a mall is.
No, the Washington Memorial, that mall is more of a mall than a mall.
I tell you what, though.
I'm talking about the appropriation of terms and how the English language changes over
I
time.
think this fucking New York Times bestseller just lost.
Yeah, good work. Got him against the fucking ropes.
yeah, you got me. Thanks.
No problem.
Good job.
What the mall needs, though, is a Bufora.
I agree with that. There's nothing in here.
Well, this place, Porton Down, it's pretty much the British version of Edgewood. This is where they conducted chemical experiments on quote-unquote volunteer soldiers.
Oh, man, no.
And these, of course, resulted in the death of at least one soldier who had liquid nerve gas dripped into his arm.
Now, when you say
Jesus.
nerve gas,
I mean
is it-
sarin.
Yeah, if you okay, so if we're gonna put this juice in me, so is this the type
gonna
of
be
thing
good.
that's gonna calm my nerves?
I don't think so. Is this does MK Ultra go to Europe?
No.
No.
Well,
So
as far
this
as we
isn't
know,
like-
I mean, I don't know. We're talking about where the money
this is-
sloshed around.
It's mostly, it was the Canadians certainly
Used it?
participated in it. Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm incorrect. They might have MK Ultra money, but it's different because they're technically doing different things here. This is just straight up chemical warfare, which is the MK Ultra didn't fully get into. That's where it started.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is about
It was
nerve.
psychological warfare.
Yes.
Well, the thing is about nerve gas. I mean, they were using sarin. This is the same stuff used by Aum Shinrikyo decades later.
God.
You know, in Edgewood, the military facility Edgewood did the same thing in America, where we tested this nerve, because nerve gas was something that was discovered after World War II. It was something the Nazis were working on.
They must have
that
been
they didn't.
so mad.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh man, we could have used
That
so
would have been
much of
good.
this gas earlier.
Yeah.
Oh,
Could
my
have used that
God.
a couple of months ago.
Yeah, the Nazis hadn't quite gotten a chance to use it yet. They were gonna use it, but then they didn't. And so what
Yeah,
we
because
had
we
to,
know that was a part of the end goal. The end games were going to be they were just going to gas everybody.
yeah,
No, they wouldn't do that.
I know.
No.
I hate to judge.
And so the British and the Americans had to do tests on it, see like, oh my God, what does it do? And Porton Down is where the British did their tests. But that is to say, Porton Down is considered a nefarious place full of mystery and conspiracy.
It seems to make your nervy nerves, little cockamamie there. Can't believe what we did there. Thought maybe you've got a bit of a nap, bit of a sleep there, but it turns out it's a bit of a dirt nap.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like this experiment needed to happen.
No, I mean,
But
we
that's okay.
had to kill people so we could see how fast it could kill people.
We had to kill one. Okay, please be fair. We had to kill one guy, not people.
Thank you.
That's
God.
a person?
That's a person.
And when he looks in the mirror, it's people. That's a people.
Now, the military officer claimed that for some reason, he was allowed to stick around while the scientists opened up these boxes.
Yeah.
What they found inside, allegedly, were the bodies of 2 dead aliens that matched the descriptions of alien grays. Presumably, these had been failed decontamination chambers that were meant to keep the grays alive.
Now, everybody is like, in these days, I can see how people are skeptical of these stories, but it's really interesting because it does come up a lot. Like if you talk about Roswell, which is still probably of all of the granddaddy cases, it's still kind of got a lot of concrete evidence attached to it. Well, in terms of like the people who've talked about it and the things that they've all said that they've seen. Now we talk about that that book came out called Area 51 that talked about Roswell, that the real thing with Roswell is that there was surgically altered people that were presented in front of people as aliens. Like, so it's strange to see that same thing happen here before that was common knowledge.
Yeah,
where
it was
it's like,
1973, you know.
but
70s.
so
yeah.
unless it's it's one of maybe it's one of two things. Is that one, it's either aliens and they're seeing aliens, or two, are a lot of people surgically altering the humans to look like aliens to prank on other people. And then I guess there's a third where all of this is fake.
Yeah.
Right. They should have gotten Jimmy Savile to fix it.
I wish he could.
Come on.
Now, Margaret was skeptical of the alien coffin story because the source that passed it along refused to meet in person. Another researcher did say that he'd vetted the source and confirmed his credibility, but the source had remained anonymous to maintain his safety, or so he claimed.
But Margaret was torn.
Yeah, she was torn, and Margaret certainly had her detractors. A skeptic and all-around pain in the ass named Andy Roberts went so far as to publish a book debunking Berwyn Mountain.
I can see his butt, like the start of Gremlins, when the woman's all upset that, you know, that she didn't get something from the bank. I can just see his big butt and khakis walking around.
Yeah, excellent. Another fantasy dispelled.
I mean, honestly, what's worse than being a ufologist? Being a professional debunker?
Unfortunately,
the whole
yes.
world's debunk.
Although
we know.
I do agree with you that most professional debunkers do have big butts.
I'm sure.
I don't know that for a fact, but I see it.
I could see it.
That's their grounding.
That is their grounding.
Well, Andy Roberts claimed that the light that Pat Evans
Sure,
saw,
what do you got,
that everyone
Andy?
light in a tent.
Yeah.
Bunch of
A light
hunters.
in a tent.
Hunters. They're camping out and they got a light in a tent.
Well, because it's very similar to when you talk stories about phantom lights, where they wonder what it is. Some people just say, is it just lights on a hill that you're seeing that are refracted because of something with the air, like is making them appear to float or whatever, or
Gases.
earth farts. Yeah, literal earth farts. Is that what they're seeing? And, you know, he just doesn't like UFOs.
I think it's more destabilizing to society thinking that all of this could be caused just by a couple of campers with a goddamn Magnum flashlight. I like the idea of a UFO better.
Yeah,
I also
because otherwise, what are we doing here? We're very fragile. If that's going to have upheaval for an entire community.
Seriously. Yeah, exactly. Where it's like, it's more just like I more and more I research and more I read about these things. It's just more getting into what is consciousness? Why do we receive reality the way that we do? How we generate reality as we're swimming in it, we're constantly generating it. And it's very flimsy.
Yeah.
It's just kind of there. We're all relying on the 3 pounds of goop between our fucking eyeballs and our asshole.
And you better give credit to Jerry Springer for that. Final thought.
Yeah, I mean, Andy Roberts, he actually personally attacked Margaret. He personally attacked her. He said that her research was nothing more than, quote, the rantings of an old lady.
I like Margaret, though.
I love Margaret.
What has this asshole done?
Nothing.
He's just a destroyer.
He just doesn't like UFOs.
He doesn't. Luckily, though, Margaret had her allies, whilst Andy was all up in Margaret's ass using debunking research that, guess what, has been debunked
Now,
itself.
who's sadder than the re-debunker? Because that's the saddest man.
No.
That's the Rorschach of the ufology world. The man that goes and debunks the debunks. You just don't want to be anywhere near that guy.
No.
It's not as
I
fun.
like him. We need him in his way.
Yeah,
But
sure.
also, and I use a man on purpose.
Oh.
I'm saying his on purpose.
He's
but-
the rebuttal.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You got to sick your attack dog somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and your rebuttal man, now that's the ufologist attack dog.
And then what you do is the rebuttal man, he's doing stuff, and the whole thing be like, you use him to say all this stuff, and be like, but I don't really depend on Greg because Greg's kind of unreliable. But still, he's
Right.
doing good work. Good work, Greg.
Yeah.
Kicking
Good
up the
work.
dust.
Well, Margaret's best ally was a young independent researcher named Scott Felton, and he decided that maybe Margaret had missed something on Berwyn Mountain. Not that she wasn't doing a good job, but there was a lot of information to sift through.
And there really is like kind of a rom-com in here if you want.
A little
Of
bit. A little bit of a Harold and Maude.
Oh man, Harold and this is perfect. This spooky Harold and Maude.
And again, because it is ufology, this isn't the fucking O.J. Simpson murder scene.
No.
You don't have to be, you make mistakes sometimes.
Well, it also
Sometimes you just wipe up a bunch of DNA.
there's room for speculation in
Yes.
UFOs.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Well, Margaret and Scott began working together in 2014, and after going back through her notes, Scott found a phone call that Margaret had taken from a man named Michael Saville.
Another
No
one.
relation.
But it's just so bad for anyone named Fogel or just anyone.
We're not seeing a lot of Hitlers
I think
anymore.
that last
No.
name is gone. It's just you never want that to happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, Scott figured Saville was worth a second look. And as it turned out, this man was the confirmation for Pat's story that Margaret and Scott had needed the entire time. See, Saville and his wife lived on a cottage with a clear view of the mountaintops. They lived above the village. They were enjoying a nice night reading at home when their walls began to tremble and shake. So Saville went outside to see what was what.
I should have given him a look and loo with the shakity up there.
Bippity bop in the song.
It sounds like such a fun night though, because I'm like thinking they have a little fire going.
Yeah. Oh, no.
I mean, we had an
There's a little
earthquake the other
tea.
night, but it's scary. But it's,
I haven't felt one of these fucking earthquakes. I was promised earthquakes when I moved out here.
Yeah.
You'll
I
get
know
'em.
there's been like 8. I haven't felt any of them.
You
Yeah.
just have to be a less good sleeper, like me.
Why is it always at night? Why is it always when everyone's
why
asleep?
does it have to know when it? Why
Because
does it know?
it is scary when it does for real happen. You'll see. You'll be scared.
Okay.
I hope to be.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to a solid 4.3.
he's a Subaru
please
guy.
stop wishing
Yeah.
for it. It's very scary. I was in the theater when we saw Midsummer when we had that legit one a couple years ago, and I had just eaten a 40 milligram edible,
I'd
and it was
fucking freak.
just when they all arrived at the cult when they were doing, and then it felt, we were like there was something weird was going on, and all of a sudden the movie froze, and the building just went back and forth, and it was scary.
Yeah,
You'll
of
see. You'll love
course.
it.
I don't want to ruin the end of the end of Midsummer.
But everybody survives, and it's great.
Yeah, well, actually, the big surprise is the whole thing took place during December.
Thank you. Who debunks the debunkers?
Well, to Saville's surprise, when he walked outside, he was faced with the same bright circular light that Pat Evans saw. It was so bright and large from his vantage point that he thought the world was coming to an end.
Damn.
10 minutes later, though, Saville claimed that the object silently sunk below the horizon and disappeared. And so, after hearing Saville's side of the story, and I love what Scott did here, he connected when and where Saville saw the object to when and where Pat saw the object. And Scott found that their timelines and sightlines dovetail perfectly. He proved that when the object sunk out of Saville's view, it entered Pat's view, meaning that at the very least, two people did see the same thing that night, whatever that thing may have been.
Cool.
To me, for all of when you talk about UFOs, that's when it starts to get credible, like
Yeah.
the aerial school phenomena. I still feel like the aerial school phenomena is one of the best, like proving that something happened in that moment
Mm-hmm.
of all those stories is that story where
Yeah.
you just have a bunch of people all saying they saw the same shit. The group abduction in Coronado. Like, yes, even though most of it that we focus on was the man showing his penis to his roommate that he was forced to have on a
was
group
kinda
trip,
funny.
which is the best part
Yeah,
of
that was
that
kinda
entire
funny.
story.
Really is.
But it's the idea of everybody seeing and experiencing something in a small period of time. It's very interesting. The Hudson Triangles.
Yeah. And this is cool because it's two people telling independent stories that are giving different timelines. They don't know each other. And he's actually able to use triangulation, actually use calculations to prove that both of them are telling the truth. He's corroborating evidence here. It's fucking great. But concerning what that thing may have been, there is a bit of a fly in the ointment, in the form of a psychology professor named Dr. Michael Persinger.
Actually, time for me to get involved here. I thought I saw a smile. So I decided to arrive and say, I farted in here
There
so
it
you
is.
can all frown.
I like Dr. Persinger.
I know
Sure,
you
sure.
would,
I like
Marcus.
him.
It's because you want to be a professor when you grow up.
Well, I mean, I've thought
Yeah, when
about
he grows up.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I grow up.
He's still a young boy.
He is a young boy.
Yeah.
He's only 40.
Well, they say we're going to live to 100, so we're not even halfway dead yet.
Yeah.
Fuck. I gotta think about my finances.
Yeah. You really got to pay attention.
Fuck. Oh,
Shit.
Rise from your grave.
Well, Dr. Michael Persinger, Dr. Michael Persinger, it's a very difficult name. I didn't even think about how to say that. Persinger. Dr. Michael Persinger, he made distinct links between UFO sightings and the type of earthquakes that were felt just before the sighting of the glowing object.
Yes.
And Persinger, he was no fuddy-duddy dickhead. He's not a Philip Glass. He's not a Joe Nickel. He's not out to ruin everyone's fun.
Yeah.
He's not of the opinion that people are just stupid or gullible, like a lot of these other assholes. He is of the opinion that there must be some scientific reason why so many people throughout history have reported paranormal experiences.
See, this is the kind of approach I appreciate.
Me too. I love this.
It is there. It's this concept of like the government's been gaslighting us for long enough, telling you we haven't seen anything, and then our eyes are wrong, and we're again we're idiots.
Yeah.
But it's like we're idiots, but for other reasons. You know what I mean? We're actively we try to kill ourselves with food. That's fine. Right?
Yeah.
We do it, but this story, it's like at least like give me some kind of credit.
Yeah.
Like show me that no, it's a phenomena happening.
Yeah.
We just need to figure out what the hell it is.
Yeah.
And whether it either is a psychic phenomena that is not woo-woo, just more of a lack of understanding of how our consciousness works, or if it's something natural, I'll take it.
Yeah. And that's what Dr. Persinger's, that's what he devoted his entire life to, was trying to find that answer. Paranormal experiences are real, even though it's not necessarily paranormal. People are seeing something.
Sure.
And he tried to figure out why.
Well, and that's just not a waste of a life at all.
No,
I don't think it is.
No, he didn't waste his whole life.
No, not even close. No, it's not like he spent his entire life as a podcaster, and isn't that such a noble calling?
Hey,
No.
I have
it's fine.
said several people say, I would have nothing to listen to while washing the dishes if it wasn't for you.
Think about how many dishes have been washed
that
because
is
of us.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
Well, for example, Dr. Persinger was the inventor of something called the God helmet.
Yeah, we're going to use one.
Yeah.
I already got
Oh,
one. I already got a line on one.
This is the famous God helmet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It used weak magnetic fields that produced mystical experiences and altered states. See, it was Dr. Persinger's theory that paranormal experiences are examples of, get this, interhemispheric intrusions caused by vectorial hemisphericity.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, dude. Sounds like you just wasted a lot of money on fucking some big ass words, bro, because you didn't fucking teach me shit, dude.
Well, I'll give you PhD.
Pretty hot
hateful.
and fucking stupid, you dickhead.
Yeah, fuck you.
No, that sounds very interesting and smart.
It doesn't
does.
sound like anything.
No,
it doesn't sound like anything.
I
No,
do
okay,
understand
okay.
what it means.
Yeah,
It means that
break it down.
it's the two lobes of our brains are talking to
Interhemispheric.
each other.
Yeah.
Yes, they're talking to each other.
Two
and you could-
sourdoughs.
But
Yes.
they're intrusions. They're not supposed to. They're talking to each other in a bad way.
Yes, they're fucking up.
Yeah.
Or but again, is it fucking up? Or is that just how our brains work?
Yeah.
And is that how we experience things that are in an interdimensional fashion? I
Yeah.
do think there's the other side of it where, yes, you can reproduce it with the God helmet, but it's also just how our brains work. So he's just showing it, being like, so if waves of these things, if we're sending these things purposely into our brain to create a fake mystical experience, maybe it's also just how our brain receives these kind of waves. And we decide whether or not that energy, is it from an intelligent source or is it just a natural expression of the universe?
I don't know. We got to get some DMT up in here.
Yeah.
I've heard.
I get some TNT, man.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Persinger, I mean, admittedly, his theories were not able to be reproduced.
No.
They're not easily reproduced.
Well, we know that we should talk to the Newkirks. They use the God helmet all the time, and they were always talking to gods inside their own brain.
Yeah, but I think partly the reason why his research hasn't gotten larger, the bottom fell out of the parapsychology research funding after the 70s. During the 70s, they really gave it a go, and then they just stopped. It's like in Ghostbusters, where like, they just don't have any use for him anymore.
Oh, no.
And who cares if it doesn't really work most of the time? I say give him a few million and let him try.
You just got to be careful, Ray. If we're going to the private sector, they expect results.
Yeah.
It's true. Where it's like, I went and because, I wrote to Dr. Merlin Tuttle. We talked about this, the bad biologist. But I also wrote to the University of North Carolina because they used to have they had a paranormal, like an entire paranormal wing. Oh, it was a parapsychology wing. And I was obsessed with it. And I didn't get anything back. And then it all closed down. And it turns out I was writing to things that were like from like books that were like years old.
Yeah,
I didn't know
that. Yeah. You gotta write to Disney Adventures.
I did.
Yes, I submitted a couple of stories.
I love Disney Adventures.
Yeah, I think I wrote to Omni a couple of times.
What was that?
It was a science magazine.
Yeah, and this won't be like, how do I make my dick bigger? How do I get girls to like me?
Yeah, it's still pretty like small. I don't make it bigger, because it's like they say it's gonna get bigger, but I don't believe them.
It does.
I need results here.
All right.
But concerning Berwyn Mountain, Dr. Persinger said that seismic stresses, i.e. earthquakes, can produce electrical effects that produce luminosities and electromagnetic disturbances through the ionization of air.
Like static electricity caused by plates.
And this is what could possibly create the bright, luminous globs that could be interpreted as the glowing orb UFO that we see again and again and again.
I mean, my little understanding of what's happening right now with the study of the Earth itself, it does seem like there's some funky things going on, and it's much shallower than we thought.
We don't know anything.
Yeah, we don't know shit.
Yeah. I mean, this would explain the soundless nature of these orbs. Everyone says when they see the orbs, they say it makes no sound. It would explain their erratic movements, which would give it the appearance of being piloted.
It was called the Busey effect.
Yeah. Really?
No, I was just saying like how Gary Busey was a sort of unpredictable
an
human
erratic
being.
man. It still is an erratic man.
Oh, very much.
Very erratic man.
He's a good person.
Yeah, you give him a football helmet, he'll just start ramming you.
He'll kill you.
He would.
Yeah.
He's a good person.
He is. Yeah. False expectations appearing real. That's fear.
Yep.
I always forget what it means.
Yeah. Well, concerning what people feel when they see these kinds of things, Dr. Persinger said that when he exposed subjects to these kinds of electrical fields in labs, the kinds that could have produced these glowing orbs, he said that it produced feelings of foreboding and dreamlike states, which a lot of people say they feel when they see these orbs.
We're just tripping on the fucking planet Earth's fucking vibes, dog.
That's why I've been fucking bringing my big old fucking road cone to every time they go fracking someplace, dude. And I just put it up there and I just suck on the earth, dude. That's the ultimate gravity bomb. That's a gravity bomb.
Now, of course, both these electrical fields and Dr. Persinger's God helmet don't work on everybody. Like, for example, smug fuck Richard Dawkins, who everyone fucking hates. He tried the God helmet.
Does everybody hate Richard Dawkins?
I think he's a polarizing figure on purpose.
He's a dickhead. He's a massive dickhead.
He's dead now.
No, he's still alive.
He's still alive?
I checked. He's in his 80s or his 70s.
No way. I thought he was like...
Dude, I checked earlier today.
Cancers.
No, I checked earlier today. He's still alive. Yeah, he might have cancers.
Who knows?
Well, he said that when he put on the God helmet, the sensation he experienced putting on a helmet.
Sure.
Fuck you.
Well, okay.
But he's just like, he doesn't want to be into it at all. Like,
No.
he doesn't like the concept of gods or anything, which I understand because organized religion, all the stuff that comes around it, is decidedly bad.
Sure, but he believes in nothing, and he spends his life telling people that they're stupid if they believe in anything.
Yeah,
Well,
and
that's not nice, Richard.
It's
No, most
not
of the
nice.
time-
It turns people away. you
I
know.
think so. What was the other guy that was always doing that stuff, died in his early 60s, author? The famous anti-God guy there.
Christopher Hitchens?
Yes,
Yeah.
Hitchens.
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
great stories about him.
Yeah.
He could drink at lunch and still write a very good little article.
I think he was in.
But it could be said that some people have the sort of brain that is physically able to process these experiences while others don't. Richard Dawkins doesn't have the ability to process it.
Doesn't
Because
want
we
to
got
have the
fucking
ability.
fluoride in the goddamn water,
Oh, we're
and
not
it's
doing the
dunking up
fluoride
their
thing.
goddamn pituitary gland.
Calcifying our third eye. This could be why some people, like Henry, have almost no paranormal experiences.
Because of the fluoride?
No, well, just because his brain may not work that way.
That's why I don't drink water anymore.
That's good. I'm under Diet Coke now.
And it could also be why some people experience paranormal activity all the time. Like the British lady with the posh accent who owns the thrift store in Burbank, who told me that she spent her childhood being haunted by the savage ghost of Anne Boleyn.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's not an LA thing at all.
No, that's a reputable source.
Yeah. Or, think about this. The explanation could be that these are actual UFOs. They're piloted craft. There's something in there.
There is, perhaps that's true.
Perhaps.
I feel like I've said this constantly, and it's hard because people like hardline opinions and they want you to be black and white about it, but I think that it's all many different phenomena happening at once.
Yeah.
Like maybe maybe there is a natural arm of it where you are seeing what one pilot called, I liked recently, that we might be seeing something that is like the autoimmune system of the planet Earth. Like we're seeing these things kind of show up and they go like, because our presence there excites them and that they are not even really thinking. They're just some form of plasma that's activated by thought and arrives and it zips around.
What if the Earth is an alien?
What if we all are? What if we all are the bibbidi bop and we don't know?
But if we all are, then none of us are.
Whoa.
We are aliens, though, whenever we go to Mars.
But then maybe when we see the orbs, maybe it could be fucking a nuts and bolts UFO in some form of cloaking mechanism.
Yeah.
Or it's Earth farts.
Could be, man. I'm tired of having opinions. I'm thinking about checking out altogether.
I know. That's his whole entire thing.
I want to be, I'm sure it's slowly but surely coming all the way back around to a Robert Anton Wilson style, like completely just ambivalent about all of it. And just like I'm a full agnostic about the entire phenomenon. It could be anything.
The more you learn, the less you know. Isn't that strange? But it's important to learn.
Well, Margaret Fry, for example, she saw that there were plenty of UFO sightings that coincided with earthquakes. So what she decided was that not that earthquakes were causing UFO phenomena. Rather, she decided that UFOs were drawn to earthquakes.
Sure. And they a lot of times are seen over natural aquifers. We've talked about this. And hidden underground mountain chambers. They are, a lot of times you go down there and you find that these are kind of seem to be tracking the phenomena.
Yeah. Now, for all her admitted naivete, Margaret Fry was still one of the more reasonable people involved in the Berwyn Mountain UFO incident, as were most of the people involved. Most people. Where even fucking Andy Roberts, Big Butt Andy, even he was reasonable.
We get no idea if he has a big butt, but he is Big Butt Andy.
He's got big butt attitude.
Yes,
and
he
not
does.
the good kind.
Absolutely not.
But there are some investigators who claim that Berwyn Mountain was actually a skirmish in a vast cosmic war that we humans can scarcely comprehend.
Hey, unless you go on Coast to Coast AM and really spell it out, because then it's actually it's even less comprehensible. Because I listened to a couple episodes of this young man, we're gonna call him a young man, speak on this subject.
How old is he?
He's older.
He's in his 50s. I think he was born in the 64 or something.
And he's an animated fellow. It's a bit difficult to follow.
Yeah.
But he's got a lot of ideas. We'll see.
We'll see
what shakes out of this, because a lot of it doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense.
All right.
And actually throughout, I would like to know at certain times, what sort of questions did George Norrie ask?
Tell me. Well, this was it was a guest host. There was a guest host in this series, and he was kind of like pushing back in a way that George never would. Like it was interesting. He was asking some hard questions of Russ Kellett to see and like Russ Kellett was trying to kind of explain it, but mostly it's come down to it's a psychic thing, baby. You wouldn't get it if you wanted to.
You don't understand.
But this is where we break it into. So we have just covered the actually fairly grounded story of could be several UFO sightings. Maybe there were some boots on the ground. We're talking about how Pat's story, eventually she would recant saying that she saw soldiers. Because that's kind of when she said that maybe there was somebody involved in this, right? Yeah. Like there was someone, there was a lot of stories about like military men coming in and out, people seeing a downed UFO on the side of the road, blah, blah, blah. But that's the grounded version.
Right.
Yes.
Now we're going into the expanded universe.
Yes. All right, let's get into it. I really hope that the aliens weren't listening to Nazi marching music before coming to Earth.
I actually love Finnish jumping music.
Well, in late 2018, a UFO researcher named Russ Kellett, that we've mentioned a time or two, he came forward with what he claimed were leaked government documents about the Berwyn Mountain incident, along with a map that showed the location of an alien base near Berwyn Mountain.
Cool.
Absolute facts.
It was Kellett's contention, I think, that the Berwyn Mountain UFO incident was an intentional operation by the military that involved an alien base located under the sea on the North Wales shoreline, and the explosions heard in the light scene were the result of aerial battles between UFOs and British fighter jets.
No holes.
Can you say under the sea, right?
Under the sea.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Of course, located under the sea in the North Wales shoreline.
And unfortunately, Sebastian was lost in that war.
He was.
And I can't believe it. Just another victim of the underground bases versus up top stations of the United States military.
I can't even look at lobsters because of the Fernandate for our stream when he had the isopod videos.
I can't believe
the
it. But you know what?
food videos. I can't look at shellfish anymore.
You crush it, though.
Yeah, you
did a great job. I was vomiting.
People were really divided, and that's where we need to be at.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's the division that we need.
Now, according to Kellett, witnesses saw 80 flashes of light. I don't know how he made that assumption, but he said 80 flashes of light off the North Wales coastline that night, the night of the incident.
So he sort of combines these stories together.
Perhaps you can help me to straighten this out a little bit because it was quite confusing.
So he starts with, well, if you want to know what's going on in the Berwyn Mountain incident there, right? Because you got to do that. A lot of theirs and rights. Always a lot of theirs and rights. But it's that you got to start from the very beginning, which is whippity, going back in time there. It's Abraham Lincoln there. Better not be. It's too far. Go back forward. Whippity.
Yeah, he says whippity, whip.
Yeah. They do say that.
They do. Yeah. But basically, he says it starts with a series of military exercises where this began, where he believes that before anybody saw anything, there was this, which is real. There was documentation that there were exercises going along the coast.
Sure.
Yes.
And that's the 80 flashes of light.
Yes. And what they were dropping was what he said. They were dropping these photo flash bombs.
Right.
To check for things under the sea.
Under the sea.
Right.
Gotcha.
They drop these photo flash bombs. They basically illuminate everything from the top of the water down to the very bottom of the ocean. And they were taking a bunch of pictures. And he was saying that this was not disconnected from what would happen to the Berwyn UFO incident.
Not disconnected.
Yes, that he thinks that this is where they were chasing UFOs under the sea.
Right.
I see.
So he's saying that, so the photo flash was the British military.
It happened a couple of days before.
Days before.
So there's the photo flashes going on, and then the night of the incident, the night of the Berwyn Mountain incident, that was a fight between a UFO that came up out of the water and a fighter jet.
Those were, UFOs they scared out of the water.
Right.
Up into the sky, and then they sent, even though there was really not a lot of a paper trail for the actual fighting part of it, because that's the one thing that's difficult is that they do fill out a lot of paperwork if they shoot one missile.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of paperwork that has gone into that.
Yeah.
You know, so there's normally a long paper trail, but there was none of that.
Right.
But he's saying, in my mind, is that they scared him up out of the water, which is actually kind of fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
Because now what we know about these so-called UFO/USOs that our current military is investigating, we know that whatever this weird shit they're seeing is coming out of the water. Mm-hmm. So it does kind of like parallel the story now. And this story didn't come out until the 2014.
Blow up the ocean.
Well, there is at least a tiny bit of corroboration from paranormal author Nick Redfern, who is, of course, one of our finest paranormal journalists, which is a statement I make without irony.
No.
Yes. And of course, you can listen to that fantastic interview we did about 5 years ago on our Patreon.
Good one.
See, Redfern reported that an employee at a military facility nearby claimed that a security guard had seen a humanoid but distinctly non-human creature that quickly dematerialized right in front of him.
Bye-bye.
It's a great and a bad day to be a security guard because you're like, what the fuck? But then it's gone. You're like, not bad.
Oh, and the problem is like, oh shit, now everybody's going to know I'm fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
He had a nervous breakdown and was never seen again.
Hey, man, what would you do if we were just truly, like if you're just hanging out and the guy walked into the house, like he just was like an alien, full on fucking alien that just goes like, bye-bye,
No.
and then dematerializes. You're like, that's it.
Gone.
Yeah, that
Gone.
was the joke he used to make in one of the old live shows. They're like, if Freddy Freaker showed up in your kitchen,
You'd
lose-
lose your mind.
You're done.
You'd be in a mental asylum for the rest of your life.
Absolutely. Yeah, you go to the woods, you go to the water, you get back to nature.
Yeah, like,
again.
I need to think about my stress level.
Absolutely. Yeah, you go off the grid.
Yeah. Well, soon after, that same employee said that she heard her superior having a conversation with another high up, saying, quote,
We have no way of keeping these beings out. We just don't know what to do next. They can get in here. They can get in anywhere.
Oh my God, even after hours at the local pub.
now, if that is true, then that would mean that there is indeed a war of some sort going on between at least the aliens and the British.
Why does it have to be a war? Can't we just get along?
Whoa, hey there, Beatnik. Hey,
Come on.
come on there. Now, you some kind of peace guy?
I also don't, if you're going to, the fucking British are going to lose.
But that's the thing. If it's with the British, then it's with us because of the special relationship.
We're bringing NATO into
You're
this?
forgetting about that. No, I'm talking about just America and the U.S. They're our special relationship. We don't have a special relationship with fucking Sweden.
We
don't have
We get chocolate and clocks.
Not as special as Britain.
No.
That's a special relationship. There's a name for it. They call it the special relationship.
Yeah, it's like we fuck.
Yeah.
No, a special relationship is when, like, your uncle's just a bachelor, you know?
Oh,
like, we don't know what he does.
And that's his best friend,
Yeah.
Jeff, that he's been living with for 25 years.
25 years. Aren't they? They're manly men, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Rise from your grave.
But while we've heard a bit about the aerial battles and the possible espionage, what are the soldiers in this war?
Okay, this is where it really gets colorful.
I mean, after all, if there are aerial battles, naval battles, and breaches at military compounds, then that stands to reason this is a hot war.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
Smoking hot.
Hot
like
war.
Naval battles and areola battles.
Yeah. Titties in the bathtub.
There we go.
Titties in the bathtub.
Titties in a bathtub.
Hot wars, they usually have ground battles, don't they? Ground battles
Ooh,
between
yeah.
troops.
Yeah, but the next
And of
war,
course-
we'll do one more ground battle, but then the next war will be
Don't-
fought with sticks and stones.
I actually took that from you, and now I actually said it first, so now you took that from me. Isn't that interesting?
I hate it.
Also, of course, a hot war is when everyone wears lingerie.
Yeah, sexy war. Playboy bunny war.
Well, luckily for us, as it just so happens, Russ Kellett, the same man who claimed to have blown the lid off the Battle of Berwyn Mountain, he claims to have also been a ground troop in an intergalactic war between multiple alien races that's been raging for decades.
I ain't saying he's wrong.
Well,
I ain't saying he's wrong. I
but is he
refuse
why
to say it.
any evidence? Is there evidence? Let's go for is there evidence?
Hey, man,
hey.
it's an astral thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, but at some point,
you wouldn't understand.
no, but at some point I have to.
I tell you what, though, if it does poke through to our reality, we're not going to be too happy about that because they are going to cause some true issues. Aliens, full-on hot war against the rest of us, we're going to have to figure that out.
I don't know how well we'll do.
I don't know.
We shall merely be pawns in the game.
But this is where the Berwyn Mountain incident kind of follows this, like, he has this idea that this is like this massive battle. Like, and so it is interesting because everybody else, including the co-author of the Berwyn Mountain incident that he was working with, Russ Kellett, who every time Russ Kellett speaks goes like, you know, Russ has got a lot of ideas. Like he's like always like jumping in like, yeah, of course, absolutely. But let's really get back to the Berwyn Mountain incident because there's a lot, because what happened with Roswell too, with Philip Corso, and a lot of people that kind of jump onto the story that kind of has some, wait, it's got some gumption.
Yeah.
Like, people are seeing these UFOs and they're all corroborating it. But he's just like, that's the thing there. It's just a bit of a surface one there. Because we get down underneath in the very peanut buttery incidents of the entire thing there.
Yeah.
What you're going to see is a bit of an intergalactic war there.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, sounds fun. So he's fighting a war.
Yeah, he's fighting a war.
Any
Yeah.
tangible wounds or?
No.
Just psychic.
Well, okay. We'll get into it.
Yeah, is there a
Not
wound?
necessarily wounds,
A scar
but
or-
effects. Let's say effects.
Okay.
He is affected.
Okay.
Yeah, it's effect.
Now, Russ Kellett released 2 UFO books in 2021, but he's been around the British ufology scene since the 1990s.
Now I'm
Two
getting
in
mad,
one
actually,
year.
with the ufology. Actually, every once in a while I do it. I go,
Yeah, I know, I get you. I love it. The first of those books was about Berwyn Mountain, roughly, but the second tells an entirely different kind of story. That book is E.T. Ryder.
It's kind of cool. It's
That
cool.
is
Hey,
kinda-
Ross Kellett's a cool guy.
He's cool because he loves motorcycles. He's a motorcycle guy.
He's
assume
like, honestly, he's just like, he really is. I guess when you hear him talk too, because he's very, he'll punch you in the face.
Yeah. No, he's a down to earth guy.
Yeah.
He calls himself, he's a tell it like it is type of guy.
He is.
He likes motorcycles. He likes making swords. He likes shooting stuff. He likes martial arts. He likes ancient mysteries. He likes paranormal stuff.
I like this guy.
He loves scooters.
I love this scooter-loving, paranormal-believing guy.
Tell it like it is. Guys, they mostly need to tell their father like they love them.
Whoa.
And like they need to have that. They need to go through that. Otherwise, because they're just telling it like they think.
Yeah, it's the rest of us. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but we shouldn't go too hard on Russ because he does say that he's been bullied most of his life.
I just want to see a fucking wound. I don't even care if it's from a bully.
Although I will also say that this story definitely sounds like it comes from a guy who's been bullied most of his life, to be fair. Well, in E.T. Ryder, Russ Kellett claims to be a frontline soldier fighting for a mysterious race of aliens in a war in which he did not volunteer.
See, I find it interesting because, it's cool because abductees talk all the time about like they get pulled into these scenarios and then the intelligences they're speaking to are saying stuff like, you were chosen for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You're a part of a familial line that we deal with. You're supposed to be a message giver. And then it always is like somebody with like a bunch of like, you've got like white lady dreads that have turned into crystals.
Yeah.
Well, oftentimes it's for people looking for a purpose. Huh?
Oh, yes.
It is.
Well, a lifelong abductee, Kellett's experiences were not sexy and strange like David Huggins. Rather, his experience was closer to what Michael Castello experienced in New Mexico during the Dulce Wars.
Ooh, Dulce.
Dulce, yes. Now, Russ said that his first UFO memory was of his father and his coworkers discussing a cigar-shaped UFO, which would later be known in the local papers as the Thackley torpedo.
Wait a second. We're talking about Jimmy Savile again?
However, no information on the internet exists about said torpedo.
Yes.
I guess those records have not been scanned in yet.
Well, it just seemed to be a tale amongst friends.
Mm-hmm. They said it was in the paper. The
It was in the
Thackley
paper.
torpedo.
It was in the paper.
Mm-hmm. Well, as far as when Russ himself saw his first UFO, he said that it was seen around Heaton Woods. It was a round red and white object that floated for a few moments, moved behind the clouds, and disappeared. This occurred in an area that the teenage kids called the Clubby, where they would drink beer, smoke cigarettes, and read porno mags. Me and my buddies, we had a similar place. We called it the place.
Yeah, the Clubby. It's like they're doing cool kid stuff.
Yeah. But
It's
they're
just
calling it the Clubby.
the Clubby.
Yeah, I did the same thing. It was called my principal's office.
You looked at porno mags in your
Smoked
principal's
cigarettes is all we did. I sat in his knee.
Laugh.
Yeah, yeah,
Gave you a
yeah.
penthouse
We
or
just-
two,
yeah.
and you're just like,
He loved reading the letters out loud, and then I got a B. And they gave me straight B's.
That's great.
Straight B's.
That's
Actually,
great.
kind of well worth it.
That's not bad.
No.
But for us, he said that it was at the Clubby that he was first abducted by aliens in what seems to be the mid to late 70s. I say seems because Russ can be a little fuzzy when it comes to timelines. So I just kind of extrapolated from the year in which he was born.
That's very kind way to say it. Because I loved Russ Kellett's story, and I loved the book. Everything I read in the book, I loved to read.
E.T. Ryder, yeah.
Yes, but he definitely has a very difficult time putting things in sequential order.
Yeah.
He bounces around a lot to the point where I was listening to a 4-hour Coast to Coast episode that took me like 2 days to listen to because I'd have to come back to being like, what is he talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Because then all of a sudden he's talking about motorcycles and then he's talking about something else and you're like, what are you fucking saying? I don't understand.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounds like he needs to stay focused.
He does a little
Yeah.
bit, but I understand. People say I have the same issue.
Yeah, I understand. Now, Russ said that a bright light appeared above him, and he soon found himself in a dentist's chair, surrounded by figures who did the standard alien tests and probes while telling him, you have nothing to fear. Everything is fine.
And I love all of her people from the Isles of the UK and whatnot. But it's also sometimes difficult to understand them when they're saying words that are definitely English,
Yeah.
which
Well,
you can't
yeah.
really understand, because I just can't understand the accent.
It's
so there are
hard.
a lot of it where it's being like, what is he talking? Because he was just like, oh, it's saying two pillars. He was saying pillars. I was like, is that pillars or pillows? And then it was like, I think
He
it
was on
pillows.
dainty pillows?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do the aliens have a different accent when they speak to them?
That's interesting. Are they American or are they British?
They code switching?
They might be.
They might be.
They
They
might
could
be.
be.
They probably know all the different languages on Earth, of course.
Yeah,
I
it's
would
like
assume.
it's like in Witcher when everyone else is British, but the Witchers have American accents.
There you go. It's just like that.
Yeah.
It's just like that.
Well, once they were done with their tests and such,
What was the test again?
just, standard alien tests.
Alien tests.
Alien tests. The stuff that I don't need to go over it again.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm talking
They
about.
stab you up the nose. They play with your feet.
UFOs are doing this stuff.
Yeah,
butt
the
plugs and
aliens, all that
We know
stuff. Yeah, regular stuff. But Russ said there was another bright light, and he was suddenly back in the clubby. It was hours after his last earthly memory, missing time. Now, once Russ turned 16, he got a Suzuki motorbike and began experiencing episodes of missing time while he was riding home from work.
That sadly is like what I know the most from this whole story is Russ breaking down how he got to buy the motorbike back from his father after his father lent him money to go into motorbike school.
What does that have
but
to
then
do with
he was-
anything, though?
It's just
He loves
it
talking
was-
about motorbikes.
It was really a long story about motorbike acquiring,
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
you know.
Is it possible that he was drugged at the said clubby and horrible things were
Well,
done to
the
him?
thing is, the pushback from I forget the guest host name on Coast to Coast, but he was like, could you possibly have borderline personality disorder?
Whoa, don't
It was
bring-
a big
don't bring
jump.
that
Wow,
up.
that's a big one. Yeah.
and
Oh my
but he was
God,
just
that's
like,
the whole. Yeah, they old you.
he's like,
It's
yeah,
coast
he's
to
like,
coast.
oh yeah, me and my mates, we love that Madonna song. We've been obsessed with it, man.
Borderline.
Well, these missing time episodes coincided with Russ's visits to a place called Druid's Altar in the town of Bingley.
Everyone wears little bells.
It's cute.
Well, Druid's Altar is a rocky outcrop in West Yorkshire that's said to have a connection to Druid worshipping tradition. According to legend, this had once been the site where a Roman legion had mysteriously disappeared after having a run-in with some Druids.
Cool. Well, that's a fight I want to see. To
Oh,
be
yes.
honest.
Well,
I
that's the
love-
thing.
What
All-
the fuck is a druid?
Well, all we know, Druids, it's actually somewhat unclear because all we know about Druids come from Roman legions.
Because they did
Oh.
not keep written records of themselves.
Yeah.
They were an oral tradition, and then they would, I don't know if they believe that I think the concept was that they didn't want to leave evidence behind. I'm not exactly sure, but the Druids are very mysterious.
Yeah,
Very
druids are
mysterious.
kind of cool.
We know they existed,
Yeah.
but we only have one perspective. We have the perspective of the enemy. But while we don't have a lot of information about Bingley's Druid altar specifically, the rock still has a mystical presence. It's like Stonehenge, and Kellett often used the site to meditate.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, Stonehenge is less exciting when you just see how they did it and they just weeble wobble the Stonehenges.
It just,
Have you
it's
seen
just
that?
it shows how
Bow, bow,
well, it
bow,
just
bow, bow.
understanding human beings are very capable.
We are capable.
Now, strange lights.
I mean, not us, but
No.
As a
We talk.
species.
I get tired from talking.
Yeah. I'm going to go take a nap after this.
You have to.
No. Now, strange lights have been seen at Druid's altar, as well as UFOs and allegedly alien frogmen. There has also been reports of cats that are far too large.
That's
Cat's
not-
too fucking big,
That's a
man.
lion. It's a lion or a
That
panther.
fucking cat's too fucking big.
So I don't. This is.
Oh
okay.
my God, that cat's the size of a cow. What is it doing there?
Wow. So big fucking cats.
Yeah,
huh?
it's a
Big
cat.
I don't.
You don't want to go over there. There's a cat over
Big
there. It's
cat.
almost the size of a dog.
Wow. It could just be a larger
Well,
cat.
No,
You
man,
guys
it's
know
a
I'm
cat that's
obsessed.
it's a cat that's too big.
It's too
like
fucking big, man.
Cats can get kind of large. The big ones.
The big cats.
Yeah.
I actually am fascinated by stories of animals that are just too big.
Just too
I
big.
love it.
I
It's
know.
just the idea of like we covered this week. The idea of
Yeah,
a
it
4
makes-
foot tall rabbit.
yeah.
I love that type of shit. I love the idea of thunderbirds.
It's too big, man.
It's too
Too big.
fucking big. dude.
I agree.
Yeah, of course, that also plays into the Goblin Universe theory. Maybe Druid's Altar is a doorway into the so-called Goblin Universe. You remember the Goblin Universe, don't you, Ben?
Nilbog, of
Cat
course.
Daddy University. It's in the
I
other
know.
universe.
I know all about the Goblin universe.
Now, as Russ's experiences with missing time and his meditation sessions at Druid's Altar began to converge, he found himself in another abduction scenario, sitting in the same dentist chair that he'd found himself in the first time. This time, though, he was able to see the figures far clearer.
At first, I couldn't really see the shapes of the heads, but then I knew. I was like, oh, he's hairless. There's something going on there. I can't see his bibbidi-bop face.
Whoa, so blurry face.
Tall men with no hair, wearing white aprons over blue onesies.
A lot of aprons in UFO and alien wear.
Well,
Yeah.
I would believe that, especially if they're doing the procedures and their faces are blurry, right? So you can't make them out, or
Well, no, he can see him.
He
but
can't
I'd
see
say-
Can't see features.
He can't see
can't
features.
see the features like a dream.
But let me ask you this. I did see this once, but maybe he confirmed it on Coast to Coast. Were they about 10 feet tall?
Yes, he
Okay,
had several
all right,
of these.
all
yes.
right.
He said there was an array of sizes.
Gotcha. 10 feet at most.
He's like, one was 8 feet there. Another one was a bit of a 10-footer. He's like, I even saw what's close to 15 feet of an
they go
alien.
up to 15.
And then and that author keeps coming to me like, hey, listen, just so you know, but the Berwyn Mountain incident was corroborated by several different sources. And then he'd be like, but then, he took me on my motorbike and I don't remember anything else. There's a bright light behind me. And then he's just like, hey.
Yeah.
It was a cool, like watching everybody fight over a narrative was kind of fun.
Yeah.
If they did live here, they would probably take just a generation or two to shrink down about 1.5 feet, 2 feet.
Oh, yeah, they can do it to
Gravity.
themselves just by stooping.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, Russ said he felt a prick, which caused him to black out. And when he awoke, there was a pipe in his throat coming out of his mouth attached to a helmet.
Cool.
Russ said he felt as if he was naked and floating. Then he felt himself being sprayed by something that had a strange smell.
Sounds like he's in the sack from the Matrix.
Wait, I find that one of the more compelling things about abductions is people talking about smells.
Yeah.
Smells and sounds are really interesting because that's how our brain kind of works with memory, really, especially smells.
Mhm.
And people always say that because they say grays smell like rancid cinnamon.
Yeah.
And the idea
So
of
specific.
it's very specific, and it comes up again and again and again.
Wow.
Yes, well, Mrs. Zabrowski, so we've decided that maybe the special classes are for Henry, and we think it's going to be great.
Hey,
and he's going to fit right in.
The thing is, they thought I was mentally handicapped because I had a hard time tying my shoes, but then they actually said I was so smart, I was getting distracted.
I could see it's a fine line.
Sure, it
And
really
all
is.
of us are towing a fine
It's just weird
line.
because it was right between. I could have been in remedial classes, but then all of a sudden I was in gifted classes. So-
Wow.
Awesome.
You flipped real fast.
There
Look at
you
me.
go.
Well, as Russ levitated higher, he found that he was in an arena filled with about 100 other people. Telepathically, he and the others were given instructions for weapons training, battle formations, and other techniques used to fight and kill other humanoids.
It's like coneheads.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Oh, yeah. It's a Neo-like experience. You're right, Ben. After that, Russ floated back down to the ground. And after the throat helmet was removed,
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
he found he was in a giant room with hundreds of other people, listening to orders being barked from a nearby speaker.
It's so funny because it's just the diametric opposite of a lot of other alien abduction stories. Because most of them, you always get like a screen that shows them the future of the planet and being like, you need to stop nuclear war and like that type of shit. And this is just being like, no, we're fucking killing them.
Yeah.
No, it's
This is fucking doom.
Very militarized.
It is. No, I just imagine like out of the loudspeaker, just gonna be fucking great. The same type of tall figures from the dentist chair were also present, and they ordered Russ and the others to drink from a pipe, which produced a pleasant liquid with a citrus-like flavor. However, it caused Russ to vomit, but he was ordered to keep drinking nonetheless. It was drink, bleh, drink, bleh, drink, bleh.
Ayahuasca, perhaps.
Perhaps, until finally a mist surrounded everyone in the room.
Whoa.
Rust became, as he said, very wet.
He was wet.
Yeah.
Never, always be scared of the tall white man.
Very, very wet.
Very wet.
Which the tall figure said was necessary to prevent, quote unquote, infection.
Whatever you say, y'all.
Yeah. Russ then felt very dry.
Oh, very dry.
Very dry.
Why was that necessary?
But he also felt pleasant.
See, it's about trust.
Okay.
And after drying off, Russ was given a one-piece suit with no zippers or buttons. It simply fastened together around his body as it was put on, like a suit made of unstable molecules. It's like Fantastic Four type shit.
Cool. It's how Marvel like CGI's all explanation of why we have to see everybody's superstar's face in all the movies now because all the suits are made out of nanomachines.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting take.
That's all it is now. If they all the suits have to be made in a nanomachine so you could see Chris Evans' fucking face.
Yeah, but don't you want to see Chris Evans' face?
No.
Would you prefer
No,
not
Chris
to?
Evans. No, Captain
I want to
America.
see a fucking mask.
Captain
You're a
America.
superhero.
Captain America wears the helmet.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
stupid.
he is the. You pick the one superhero.
There's a lot of
I just
actually
couldn't
superheroes
care
that you
less.
can see their
You pick-
faces.
you pick
I
the
shouldn't
only
even
one
see
who wears the
Superman's
helmet.
face.
I literally
You can
shouldn't
see
even
half of
fucking.
Batman's
I
face.
shouldn't have even brought
You
it
can
up.
see.
Yeah.
Ant-Man's dumb. He's small.
Yeah,
Ant-Man's
you
a
can't see
stupid
Ant-Man's
character.
face.
It's dumb shit.
No,
Yeah.
Ant-Man's fun.
Yeah. The first movie was really good.
But you can see most superheroes' faces, actually.
A lot of them.
And the Incredible Hulk, it's still his face.
Yeah, technically, it's like just a bigger face. Incredible Hulk, my favorite. I love the
I
Incredible
do
Hulk.
like him. I'm
Oh,
always
just
angry.
inner peace. I just imagine myself. Honestly, it's been really helping with me and my blood pressure just hearing this whole story. Just
130?
imagining that I'm in a
Not bad.
tube filled with other warriors. I got my throat helmet in. I'm ready to kill. I don't know what humanoids we're killing
I don't know.
because they really haven't specified who we're fighting.
Not yet.
All right.
You don't know who you're fighting until you show up.
Not yet. Okay.
Well, Russ said he felt invincible as the suit cycled through colors from white to yellow to green to blue to black. The suit was, as he put it, unbreakable.
Cool.
I think his suits were, every human suit was unbreakable, right? His narrative can be quite unclear.
It is deeply, utterly unclear. But because this is, again, he's ramping up. This is the first, this is like this point in the story is about an hour into the Coast to Coast series that I saw. And they had not yet gotten to the Berwyn Mountain incident and how all of this was attached to it, which I can feel the audience listening to us being like, why are we here? And it's because Russ Kellett decided to tell the story this way. Because he decides that all of this is connect back to the Berwyn Mountain incident. And we're going to see, does it?
Does it connect back?
We'll see.
Let's see. Let's see.
No, with his uniform fitted, Russ was ordered to pick up a rifle and a helmet.
Cool.
Now, at this point, it became clear that Russ was on his way to battle, to fight some sort of unknown enemy. Now, this helmet served two purposes. First, commanders could speak through an intercom to the soldiers to issue orders, like a coach to a quarterback. But the helmet also protected human ears from the incredibly loud noises caused by their rifles, which, without the helmet, would have caused their ears to bleed.
It's very specific.
Fully kitted out, the human soldiers were then ordered to walk through portals marked by crystal balls, obvious teleportation machines.
Okay.
And when they arrived at their destination, they were finally faced with their enemy.
Yeah?
It was who else?
Who?
10 foot tall, gray-green,
Yes?
It's on the way. Whoa, what is it good for? Killing reptilians.
Dude, reptilians
Say it
versus
again.
Reptilians versus Terminator would be one of the greatest movies of all time.
There's so many ways to expand these franchises.
Oh, they
just
won't do
not
it.
doing, and I wish that they would.
I know.
But by following orders, staying calm, and relying on their gear, the humans were able to best the reptilians in battle.
Now I'll
Is
be
that
the
even
struggling host of Coast to Coast AM, who's just like, okay, Russ, that's great. Now, can you just please tell me? So, when did this take place? How long was it? And he was just like, it's all in my dreams. It's all in
your
my
dreams.
dreams.
And yet it still happened. It's all in his dreams, but it still happened.
To be honest with you, I don't think the reptilians would lose.
Well, reptilians, again, it depends on.
Aren't they like the most intergalactical, intergalactical war machine
when we
type
do
creatures?
I'm telling
Possibly.
you guys right now, we're going to be doing a Big Dave Ike series this summer. When we do that, you will see that in order to beat the reptilians, you have to fight them in an almost Care Bear-like way, where you're not really, to be honest, this is not how you fight reptilians. You don't fight them with guns. You fight them with
According to David Icke.
You're supposed to put like flowers in their weapons. You're supposed to be like, no, man, peace. You're supposed to fight them with good vibes.
Because
like
aliens,
Kylie Jenner in a Pepsi commercial?
Yes.
Yeah, because the aliens feed off of our bad vibes. That's why they're here.
Well, they're going to have a fucking field day.
They
love it.
Yeah, they cause everything bad that's ever happened is caused by reptilians because reptilians want our bad emotions and also our gold.
Well, yes, the
we're
gold
off
is the
of that
physical
gold.
part.
They can have the gold at this
Well,
point.
that's why they made humans to begin with, because we were the burrowing race of species that they created in order to dig for gold
we
so
don't
they
even
could
have
use it
burrowing hands.
We got... fuck you. How fucking dare you?
I don't know. I don't know.
No, man, we got hands to operate the equipment. This is the thing that we had. This is the argument we had the other day about being at the top of the food chain.
Right.
We got hands to operate the equipment.
That's why we are made with the hands.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yes. They could have also, again, Monsters, Inc.
Anything.
Flip it, turn it to left. What if the reptilians wanted a left?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't.
No, they don't.
The Pleiadians wanted our left.
Oh, is that right?
But Pleiadians also believed in not fucking with us as a species. Technically, we were supposed to not be messed with. Technically, the Earth was supposed to be used as sort of a natural sanctuary within our specific part of the galactic empire. But the reptilians broke that treaty by messing with the species that were on this rock.
I didn't see that on Google Earth.
And imagine what kind of life it would be if we left constantly.
Well, no.
Technically, that's how we live.
If you got the dopamine, if you did get the dopamine hit with it, and it wasn't horrible, and if you weren't laughing at like human genocide, if you were laughing truly at things that are funny, yes, but I do see it could be very imbecilic.
But if everything is funny, is nothing funny?
Yes,
we're back here.
That's just
I just want to. The Berwyn Mountain incident actually is
Please,
one
God.
of the more credible sighting experiences, and I really feel that if we look at some of the FOIA information I pulled out.
No, it's fairly clear that the people giving orders to Russ Kellett were the tall whites.
Okay.
But Russ doesn't use that term.
No.
Instead of using something that's accepted and easy to remember, he calls them
A venti.
I hate it. It's a large coffee.
It's a Starbucks joke.
he calls them the tall white bald aliens or the TWBA.
He's allowed to.
Yeah,
this is ufology.
Okay, but they're still tall whites.
No, the TWBA. And Russ
TWBA, I like it. I mean,
yeah.
It sounds like a wrestling coalition.
It does. It does. I'm fine with it.
Well, Russ nicknamed his TWBA commander Judas and claimed that they were both a part of a platoon called the Omega Regiment, whom Russ would fight with throughout his cosmic campaign.
Okay.
And once the battle with the reptilians was over, because the reptilians aren't the only enemy here,
Okay.
Russ returned to his barracks where he was transported back to Earth. From what I can tell, though, because it's, again, unclear, I don't think Russ remembered what happened upon his return.
Well, yes, because
Later on in the book, he says that he only remembered that all this happened years after it happened during memory regression.
yes.
And up till that point, he thought, I think that he was just having blackouts and weird health problems.
Yeah, he really just didn't stack this story in a way that made a lot of sense. He jumped right into his war dreams and not into the fact that he was suffering from missing time. He was seeing objects in the sky, and he said, like, one of it was there was hard evidence, quote unquote, hard evidence of him experiencing an episode of Going Away, where he said his buddy saw him stopped at a stoplight in his scooter for 5 minutes, and people were like honking their horn at him, and he was just like staring off into space, and then he'd come back and be like, sorry there, I was in a bit of an intergalactic war there.
Yeah.
And they're like, great, like cool, like, but you're due at work.
Yeah. If he would have set all of this alien stuff up with that,
Yes.
then quite possibly it could be a little more of an interesting story as far as the paranormal goes. It's interesting. It's very interesting narrative.
You just disagree with his outline. You would have just rearranged the outline.
You would rearrange the outline.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're
great.
talking from an editor's perspective here.
Sure, maybe he needed one of those.
Yeah, I think he did.
Yes, indeed.
Now, once Russ returned to Earth, he also returned to normal life. He returned to visiting his Nana for tea. He returned to his job, cleaning and repairing overalls for coal miners and other British industrial workers.
That's a great job.
That's good work.
Hell of a good gig.
Steady work. Sometime later, though, the TWBA returned while Russ was climbing rocks in an area called Belle Don Moor. This time, though.
Not a mountain, just climbing on little rocks.
And no, England's full of rocks, dude.
Okay.
Especially on the moors.
They
It's like,
love rocks.
There's a big rock. I'm going to go climb that big rock. I would love to. If I lived in England,
You're a climber.
I'd climb those big rocks all the time.
I know.
Think Aleister Crowley. That's all he did.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Especially if I could go to a place called Baldwin Moor. This time, though, that during this battle, it was with the alien Greys. And once again, Russ won the battle before being returned to Earth. You're going to hear that a lot.
Nice. Are we back to Gilles de Rais?
Mm-hmm.
Rise from your grave.
Next, Russ was abducted and sicked on the Green Dragon race, who sort of became the main villains in Russ's story. Interestingly, the dragons had their own human soldiers, like Russ, because that's the thing. Russ isn't the only human soldier. It's Russ and a bunch of other dudes that are all fighting other alien races who also have their army of dudes.
He really
he
brings up the Chinese people quite a bit as well.
I think
He does fight. He does talk a lot about.
He fights many Chinese and what he calls Slavic people.
Is it an allegory for Vietnam?
No, it's just it's his
He's just
brain.
choosing. He's just choosing.
It's in his brain.
Yeah. Now, this, I suppose, implies that each alien race had a treaty of sorts with certain countries, and it was obvious that the TWBA had a treaty with the British. This was seemingly confirmed with Russ when, during one of his abduction battles, he allegedly fought with who else but British pop star Robbie Williams.
And Robbie Williams loves this shit.
Oh, take that indeed.
Yeah. Speaking with the Daily Star in 2020, Russ Kellett claimed that during a 1999 abduction, he saw British singer and well-known UFO believer Robbie Williams during one of his military missions.
I bet you
Lucky
this
guy.
delighted Robbie Williams.
I absolutely guarantee it did.
I would think so.
While waiting in line to go through the crystal ball teleportation device, Kellett said he looked behind him and recognized the young man online. That's as the British say. They don't say inline, they say online.
Well, New
I'm
York
neutral.
also they say online as well.
Inline,
Do they?
online.
Yeah.
I never heard that during the 16
No,
years.
it's online. You
Really?
say it,
He
yeah.
says it online. That's
He
a
says
Queen's
it.
thing.
I think,
say inline.
I think it's a Queen's thing, and I didn't fuck with Queens that
It's
much.
New York. All of you,
You're
go
either
fuck
in it.
yourselves.
You're not on the line, but I don't. It's
It's
just-
online for me.
It's inline.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I'm neutral. I'm neutral on most shit.
Well, he recognized the young man behind him as who else but former Take That singer Robbie Williams. And this is just after Millennium. This is just after the first solo hit.
I
That's
love me
hard,
some
man.
Robbie.
It's
Yeah.
hard to book him after that.
Yeah.
Wow, it's huge.
Kellett said that he asked the guy, "Hey, are you Robbie Williams?" And the guy who was allegedly Robbie Williams said, "I don't know."
Yeah, man, he's in a spectral world about to fight a war against fucking reptilians. He
Yeah.
doesn't know who he used to be.
Yeah. And at that point, an alien shouted at Kellett to get back in line.
Oh, okay.
He said in line specifically.
Okay.
So you know it's different.
Yes, different.
Kellett never saw Robbie again, but he was sure that he'd seen Robbie Williams.
This is also when he finally released some of his footage. Rush Kellett has had his footage hidden for a long time, and he had a footage of what was called "quote unquote" a flying man
Mhm.
that he put up, and it is just kind of like a blob. Some people
Yeah.
call it a flying dolphin.
Okay.
When asked about Kellett's claims, Robbie Williams surprisingly responded. He had a cheeky but non-committal answer.
Yeah.
He said, "No comment."
Yeah, he loves it.
Whoa. No comment is a comment?
He loves it.
Now, Russ was apparently pretty good at what he did, so he was promoted within the Omega Regiment again and again.
This is all
Great.
inside of his world, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At one point, it was discovered that Russ had a telepathic ability, which allowed him to feel when the dragon race was teleporting to the different areas of the battle before they materialized.
And I
there.
really can't stress this enough. When we talk about it in the book, because there's a lot of witness cooperation to the Berwyn Mountain incident, you would actually be you would be surprised just how much real evidence there is attached to it.
Because it does seem like he's just kind of plucking at any ideas that he has. So he knows Robbie Williams, and then he's like, ooh, Asian people, dragons. And so I don't know. It seems human in a sense.
It does, yeah. But as Russ ping-ponged between Earth and wherever the crystal ball teleporters were taking him for these battles, he began to experience some adverse effects. He started vomiting blood.
See, this is interesting because
Yeah.
he did started getting physically sick.
Yeah. And for some reason, traffic lights were giving him panic attacks. Couldn't
Okay.
figure out why.
That's why I always blow through him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But no matter the damage to his body, the TWBA kept abducting Russ, telling him that he was special, that he was one of them. And pretty soon, Russ began seeing a TWBA looking back at him when he looked in the mirror.
Cool.
So Russ,
Scary.
he shaved off his head and his eyebrows.
Man, that's like
Oh,
then you
that's
start
not
to
good.
you turn into sort of like Bjork Stalker at that point.
Yeah. Kind of little tear up the picture of the Pope there.
Oh,
What
yeah.
was her name? I love that woman.
Sinead O'Connor.
Sinead
Sinead
O'Connor.
O'Connor. I hope she's doing okay out there.
I hope she's doing okay too. Well, this apparently ingratiated Russ to the TWBA, who promoted him to team leader.
Did he get a little? Does he get a
Huge.
plaque?
Well, this, of course, gave Russ even more confidence when he battled and defeated a smaller, blue-colored dragon race who used Eastern Europeans as their human support soldiers.
The Polish? The Polish are little blue people.
That's us. All right, we are a
Fighting with the
sturdy
little blue
people.
man.
We're sturdy. We're good for an alien war.
I
I
wanna-
wish more people would use
I
it.
want to be with the dragons, to be honest with you. That's like, I think that they're probably going to win.
There's a new Top Chef. There's a Polish woman who won Top Chef Poland. Man, she's fucking trucking, dude. She's like, I'm a potato lady.
Oh.
I keep saying I'm a potato lady, and I was like, you are. I love
she
you,
is
potato
a
lady.
potato lady.
But seemingly because Russ was so fucking good at what he did, he found that the alien attacks began to spill out into his hours on the earthly realm.
Okay.
One night, he said he was chased by a silver ball while he was riding his motorcycle. But thanks to Russ's awesome motorcycle skills, the ball gave up and flew away off into the sky.
Very phantasm.
It's a huge book.
It sounds like it.
The next day, however, it was found that Russ's face was red and splotchy.
See, this is it. I see this.
Yeah. And when he went to the doctor, he was asked if he'd been near anything giving off heavy radiation. He kept his mouth shut, however, and his face healed in 2 weeks, despite the continuation of blood vomit, stomach pain, and fatigue.
Yeah, he was mad because we went to the doctor and the only guy gave him was a bunch of cream.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, doctors always don't have the answers.
No, they
No.
don't want to hear. Well, they don't want to hear the whole story.
I think doctors are actually very bitter these days because they don't make as much money as YouTubers. I actually have been thinking about that. I think they're angry.
They're very angry.
Yeah.
I've in trying to figure out my problems, like I've had to like go through a lot of really angry, bitter doctors who have given up.
I think
completely.
because they
not
still
all
like
of them have.
student loan debt.
I got a couple of fantastic doctors now, but a lot of them have given up.
I think they just get really upset with the
Oh, yeah,
modern
especially
economic
when you come in and you're like, you have a sunburn and you're like, I'm a part of the hidden astral alien army.
Right.
You're like, listen, dude, I just got a fucking. You know how many assholes I have to look at today?
But this is the
You have any
70s.
idea how
oh,
many-
no, this is
I
the
have to-
90s?
Yeah, this is the 90s. Yeah,
Maybe they were a little happier then.
maybe. Well, we were all a little happier.
Yeah,
then,
Bill
weren't we?
Clinton was rocking it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Fucking blowing that saxophone. We were talking before for recording with innocent scandals when it was just about sticking a cigar in a woman and then going to the McDonald's all the time.
They ruined her in Kosovo.
Oh, yeah. Kosovo.
No,
yeah.
not
I'm
killing
always
Bin
singing in
Laden.
Kosovo.
That lipstick factory that we blew up.
Yeah, there's some scandals
We're
there.
down
Yeah,
in
there was a couple.
Florida Keys. There's a place called Kosovo. That's where we want to go to get away from it all.
I can't wait until I'm fucking 50, bro. When I am fucking 50, dude, it's nonstop Margaritaville music, nonstop good time tunes, dude.
Thank you. Just spilled coffee all over.
Yes,
Thank
that's part of Margaritaville.
That is spilling coffee, is spilling iced coffee all over yourself right after you sing Kokomo.
Yeah, who cares?
That's the goal.
Yeah. Well, as his sickness got worse, Russ said he was visited by a 15-foot tall shadow man who appeared in his bedroom at night.
So we got dragons, we got shadow people, we got tall whites, we got little.
He's got the whole fucking cast of aliens.
All
as
right,
well.
cool.
It's the menagerie, man. Well, this shadow man placed images of war into Russ's head. Horrific scenes of people dead in the streets. Perhaps some sort of psychological warfare?
Perhaps.
After more blood vomit, though, Russ was taken to hospital where he recovered. But once he was better, that's when the TWBA came back and said, you got to go back to the front line.
You can't throw up that much blood. Yeah.
Honest.
Let him out. Is there a way to get out?
I
Can
know
you get your pension?
I don't think there's reserves.
This whole thing is
No?
involuntary, and it's about this time that he's realizing that he's being used. The TWBA are using him. They're
Every
using everybody
soldier
else.
does have that moment.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, once in their custody, the TWBA introduced Russ to a fellow telepath named Mandy, who said that the Dragon Race had put out a bounty on all telepaths.
In case you didn't know, they've been coming for all telepaths. So that's how but I knew it. You know why?
Yeah. How?
I'm a telepath. I'm just one of those, I'm extra sensitive, and it's the reason why I can't work.
Yeah, I totally understand. It's emotionally difficult to do anything.
I hear your thoughts, and I know you just want to fuck me.
No, I actually was just thinking about
I know
Madden.
what you're
I
thinking
literally
about,
was
how
thinking
all
about
you
Madden.
want to do is push my little piggy body out.
No.
And I know you just want to come on the back of my head, you filthy pervert. And guess what? You're allowed.
No, thank you, man. I just lost a fucking real close game to
Another
the
wish
Raiders
granted
yesterday.
by Mandy the telepath.
Thanks, Mandy. I really wish that people understood the simplicity of my brain just slightly better.
Yeah.
It's complex but difficult.
Well, the telepath, complex but quite difficult.
Yes, it's both of those things.
Yes. Like a truly good breakfast sandwich.
Oh, interesting. God, that's the only thing I miss from New York.
Hank's
Oh,
Bagels.
dude,
Is breakfast sandwiches.
Dude,
You're
Hank's
lying
Bagels does it.
y'all are all lying yourselves with Hank's Bagels. I'm sorry, but
I
you're
just
did
a snob.
find no. Well, he is a bagel, but
Yes.
I do understand that
no, just breakfast sandwiches.
breakfast
Not-
sandwich.
Not
Yeah,
even
no, I'm
bagels,
with you.
just breakfast
You just
sandwiches.
got to make your own.
Yeah,
There's
I didn't
a
learn.
place that I found. I'll let you know about it.
Thank you.
Yeah, don't blow them up because I want to find it.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that's why you let me know off air, right?
Mhm,
Thanks.
mhm.
I appreciate that. Oh, God, I lost my place thinking about breakfast
I
sandwiches.
know,
I
I'm
love
starving.
breakfast sandwiches.
Starving.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, perhaps this hunting of telepaths, could that have been the mission of the Silver Ball?
All right, now
Oh.
we're finally back. We're finally back to
Yeah.
the Berwyn Mountain
Now it's
incident. We're fine. Like this is, and I remember too in the episode being like, Jesus fucking Christ! And then I was just like, oh, all right, yeah, because I was just like, what
We're
am I
back.
even
well,
listening to?
after returning to Earth, Russ was teleported to Mars to battle a
Wait.
much larger orange dragon race.
It's just
Oh, there was a larger orange dragon race.
Yeah, much larger orange dragon race. And this is
Okay.
after he got the special implants installed in his eyes that showed the map of the battleground.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
But he won again.
Good.
Got to.
Yeah.
Better.
Seems like he's undefeated.
He's like 6-0 at this point.
Yeah.
But in his next battle, Russ and the rest of Omega Regiment were pitted against the White Dragon race.
Oh.
The White Dragons, according to Russ, are the most dangerous of all the enemies.
Yeah, is it their cross burnings and fucking white robes?
I don't know.
That's what they call the Grand Wizards.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I thought they were called the Cyclops.
I don't fucking
It's
know what
all
those
garbage.
nerds call themselves.
Well, from how the TWA put it to Russ, the White Dragons used humans for slave labor and sex slavery.
We're horrible at work.
Yeah, but
We're good at
automate.
sucking and fucking.
Yeah,
Yeah, we can do the sucking and fucking, but honestly, these aliens need to automate.
yeah. I mean, I suppose. I mean, really, the big reason is that we're apparently very much disliked by the rest of the galaxy. Everyone really just really don't like us.
Well, if you
you
get
know
into
what?
all the Galactic Empire stuff, they always say that we're a backwoods area.
Yeah.
That we're far away from everybody.
Sure.
We're
Come get
only
us.
good for working and fucking, which is honestly, thank you. Yes, please.
Come get us. Let's go.
This is perhaps statements like that the reason why they hate us.
Who cares what they think?
I'm me. And if they can't handle me at my worst, then they don't deserve me at my sex slavery.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Because I will fucking suck.
I know
Yeah.
you will.
I'll do what I
mean-
can do. That's the one thing you'll fucking get me in there.
I mean, we may not be
Doing
good
for certain.
we may not be good workers, but we got fun holes.
Absolutely, we
Mhm.
do.
Stretch them out.
Mhm.
Now, the White Dragons were flanked by Chinese soldiers.
Always.
But Russ once again prevailed, and prevailed again and again throughout several more battles,
Wow.
including one against the TBBA, the tall blue-balled aliens.
he comes up with a lot of different ideas.
He does.
Before that battle, however, Russ said he participated in a ceremony, kind of a pump-up pep rally, where he heard this rousing speech given by an alien, I think a TWBA, that he paraphrased in his book, Henry, If You Will Please.
And it starts with, man, I feel like a woman.
Bam,
Whoa.
bam. Today, we stand together as one to fight our enemies. Some time ago, it was found of a plan to destroy my home planet along with my race and to move on to all the other planets in the goddamn universe.
If we can get some patent music going on here.
Our scientists and technical departments have been working non-stop to prevent the catastrophe, which would amount to what you have seen so many times before in your history as genocide. We are not a warring race, even though that's all we seem to be doing.
Yeah, it does seem to be pretty common and popular.
But some of our race chose to stand and fight alongside you and hope to end this war once and for all. Go now to end this war. This is our Independence Day.
There it is. Bill Pullman coming through. Okay, not the most uproarious speech,
No,
I just
go
wanna
go
say
now
that-
to end this world. It's certainly not General Patton. No,
And
it is
no.
not.
And if I could just get you to just read through the Berwyn Mountain incident book, if you could just look at it and understand how, there's a lot of other details. We love Russ. We love Russ's energy. We love what Russ
Right.
brings to the table. But like,
Blood
you could
vomit.
really,
Blood vomit.
I
He
like
came back and
that.
started vomiting up blood. You like that? Now I got your attention again.
Well,
You're not. You're not.
tangible evidence.
Yeah.
But then he was just like, it came down to, he's like, if I only got a doctor to diagnose me with something, he said it was straight up fibromyalgia.
Fibromyalgia.
Yes,
Chronic.
fucking Malaysia. I don't know. All right.
He said that after all of these
it's fibromyalgia. I'm
intergalactic
actually
wars,
just so pissed off.
I actually do feel
Yeah.
like for all of you suffering from fibromyalgia, maybe this is the time for you to ask your doctor, am I a sniper in a war with the white dragon alien races?
Ask. Am I a time traveling telepath?
Just think about it for a second,
Will
and
you
maybe
wait?
that will fix your problem.
Do
Wait.
I have teleportation sickness?
Wait until your fucking doctor says yes. If
If you just go to
internet
Indianapolis,
poison now.
Well, a couple more battles followed against some 10-foot-tall Egyptians with red skin and black hair. Some of them had bull heads, some of them had horse heads. I think he just said Egyptian because they look like hieroglyphics.
He just
Sure.
said-
Those creatures fought alongside the Greys. The Nordics were there.
Oh, great.
6 foot tall with long blonde hair. Of course,
Always,
he doesn't
yeah.
call them the Nordics. But with that victory, Russ apparently, cosmic campaign over.
He's done.
Flawless victory.
Mission accomplished.
No
Roll the credits.
defeats, not a single defeat. Does he address that in
No.
the coast to coast? How
No, he doesn't. No,
does
no,
not-
no,
has-
no.
he
He
does not
honestly-
lose a
He's not
single battle.
braggadocious. He's not braggadocious.
when it comes to the actual, he talks about his abduction experiences, but when it comes to this full-on alien war stuff, every single time he brings it up, the author steps in.
Yeah.
Literally goes like, but that's not really what we're really here to discuss today. Like because he keeps trying, he's like, they would be surprised. They say there's no atheists in a foxhole, but what if everybody's been alien? And you're like, we're all just like, okay, Russ.
Yeah, but that's not where his story ended. If we extrapolate from his 1999 experience with Robbie Williams, it seems like Russ founded the Bradford Research Network UFO group in the early 2000s, I think.
So this is when, yes, he started really getting into legit UFO research because when all of these things were happening, he was growing more and more obsessed with UFOs, and he made it his entire life.
Yeah. Well, this is, of course, long before Russ realized that he was an intergalactic telepathic hero.
Oh.
Yeah. So he spent years following up on reports called into this hotline, like the incident in which several children in Pembrokeshire saw a flying saucer along with a humanoid in a silver suit.
Because Margaret Fry never actually wrote a full book based on this event. And she was the one that did a lot of the legit, hardcore ufological nuts and bolts research that we kind of like pull a very grounded story from. That's why they think of this as the Wales version of Roswell. But Russ jumps in to reinvigorate this story with a bunch of new shit. So this is after the fact. This is many, many years, because I don't think the book came out, I think, in 2014 that they're talking about.
Pretty recent.
And he brings it all back around to this other reporter. There was a freelance reporter that wrote the book with him that basically was like, oh, this is a huge story we need to talk about. And as he was doing it, Russ Kellogg gave him all this good information on the Berwyn Mountain incident and eventually started to slide in, I'm an alien infantry member. And he's just like, okay,
right.
Right.
Yeah, and then you're fucked because this is your guy now.
Yes.
That's your guy. At any point, does it turn anti-Semitic?
No.
Wow.
Thankfully, it doesn't.
He doesn't.
Wow.
Just a bit anti-Chinese.
It
gets the dips to toe in.
I wouldn't say it's anti-Chinese. He might use the wrong word to refer to the Chinese every once in a while, but it's not necessarily anti, because he mentions many races.
Yeah, he said they were unwitting humans that were brought into an alien galactic conference.
Boom. Okay.
Yeah, but at least it's not anti-Semitic.
Very impressive.
Well, eventually, though, Russ began hearing about something strange that had happened decades before on January 23rd, 1974, around the Berwyn Mountains in Wales. Russ began his own investigation, starting with interviews of old-timers at the local pub.
Great.
Not a bad place to start.
No.
Very fun.
There, he found one witness who said that 100 soldiers had been in the streets of the village on the night in question.
Hey, they're not prone to exaggeration.
Yeah. Other witnesses joined in, saying that they'd seen a UFO get hit by a missile that was fired from a jet fighter.
Awesome.
And supposedly possible physical evidence of a kind from this battle was produced.
Ooh, that's I love that idea of just a nice warm pub, everyone drinking their little drinks.
Saying alien stories?
Yes, saying alien stories.
Well, his main
shit.
He got clued into a story of a group of guys saying that they saw a UFO and dudes packing shit up on the side of a road. Okay. And that's kind of where it all started. And then he got really obsessed with the Berwyn Mountain incident and he traced it from there. The problem is that, a lot of guys, they want to get involved in the story. You know what I mean? They want to say something that's fun and interesting. They want to one-up their mate. So it is, I don't know kind of what came out after the fact, but he started piling together other sightings that were happening in the same months.
It's good pub tale.
It is.
And so Russ began putting together a timeline. 2 sets of witnesses said that they saw a jet fighter shoot down a UFO. And a group of men, as Henry said, they saw, supposedly, a landed UFO surrounded by grays carrying weapons and carrying an injured comrade at the same time. Another couple said they encountered a quote-unquote injured frogman. Although I'm not sure if they mean a frogman in the sense of the lost O.J. Simpson TV pilot, The Frogmen, or an actual man who is a frog.
I'm pretty certain it's a man who is a frog.
It's not like a Navy SEAL, because those are called frogmen sometimes.
No, I think it's just a frog-shaped man. Which again, I think is quite prevalent in the UK.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so Russ extrapolated and concluded, I think, that the cosmic war that he was involved in had spilled over to the Earth, and Berwyn Mountain was the highly visible result.
Again, that's Russ Kellett's world. We're all just living in it.
We're living in it.
I understand it.
I love jumping into the side quests inside of the minds of the people that are in our UFO stories. But, the core of the story is still very interesting. The Berwyn Mountain incident, there was a lot of corroborating evidence around it. And then you just wonder whether or not, because abductees, they deal with very intense, large, like kind of mythos that they're dropped in the middle of. Yeah. But I don't know what that is. I don't know whether or not, like, when we experience something anomalous like that, we then also connected deeply into the collective unconscious, and then we're experiencing the memories of soldiers. And I find that could be credible.
And but it's just as hard to fight in the war, isn't it? To experience the memories, huh?
Yeah, man.
If I go back to any Vietnam vet, you're homeless, you don't have any money. Well, I fucking know what you're going through, bro. because I watched Apocalypse Now.
I saw that film.
I saw that.
You know, I love this story. It's good. It's good and deep. But this month we're gonna get into a lot of other shit.
We are. We're gonna get in some weirder stuff.
We're doing some general weirdness next week. A little bit of shorter topics because we're about to do a big old Mama Jama history series.
Big.
Which I'm very excited for.
Massive.
But then we're doing we're gonna get into a little blood before that because I know some of you are bloodthirsty.
Yeah, you absolutely are.
Of course, there's never enough blood there for some people. Okay, also April 16th, I'm going to be at the Levity Live, so that'll be fun. So check that out. And then we have the Pack Theater. That's going to be for
April 19th. I'm going to be doing Classy Night Out. You can check that out on Eventbrite. You can look that up. April 19th. But also we've got Last Comic Book on the Left, Volume 3. It is available. I think is it pre-order deal again? No, I believe we're ready to go.
I think we're ready to go here.
You go and you order it. Last Comic Book on the Left over at z2comics.com. Check it out. A lot of good work went into it. We're starting already to build number 4.
Very fun.
And I'd also like to thank our friend Grant Gordon and his lovely wife Ashley for teaching me how to say horrible in a wonderful Long Island way.
Horrible.
We'll give credit where credit is due.
Thank you all so much for listening. Thanks for supporting all the shows here on Last Podcast Network. And thanks for supporting the little serious shows that we do as well.
Yeah, check them out.
Yes, check out everything. We'll keep you entertained in these crazy, interesting, unique times. Okay, everyone. Anything else, boys?
No, shit.
Hail yourselves.
Hail Satan.
Congratulations.
Hail me, you dirty little piggies.
Go fight that goddamn war.
Yeah, you go to sleep and you fight the war in your dreams, all right? You quit fighting war in real life because that's really hurting people. But in your dreams, you always win.
Yeah.
I love that. That's actually pretty nice.
Fight the war of your dreams.
Oh, yeah, that's going to stop all the war.
Yeah.
Yep. I just fixed it.
You did it.
Start the thought virus here.
Call NATO.
All right.
This show is made possible by listeners like you. Thanks to our ad sponsors, you can support our shows by supporting them. For more shows like the one you just listened to, go to lastpodcastnetwork.com.